There we go. Can you not do that? That's the I'm sorry. There's an echo from. Because we need people. Oh, is it? Yeah, I can switch back and forth. Yeah, this is on here. So, Rusty, can you hear us okay? Real high. Or somebody, anybody who can hear within the top half of the voice.
So hello, everybody. Welcome to the July 2023 Manhattan Community Board 2 Quality of Life Committee meeting. This is our first quality of life meeting that we're doing in the new hybrid format. So if things move a tiny bit slower, please bear with us. But I think we're starting to figure it out with us. So thanks for everyone who's joined. I am Will Dennis, the chair of the Quality of Life Committee. Why don't we just go around the table starting. Okay, Brian,
I'm Michael Levine, member of this committee.
Roberts and Rose.
Hi.
We're also joined by Carter Goose, CB2 member, former chair. And then on the screen, we also have our current CB2 chair, and of course, Peter Sands, who is a member of our committee, as well as everyone. So for this committee, we review street activity applications that take place in CB2, various environmentation related issues. People are saying they can't hear anything. Yeah.
We need an output view over there. This one. No, on your computer. Will, on your computer.
I can hear it.
Now, I think now it just came off.
How is it now in terms of the quality of the audio?
That's better.
Better?
All right. Yep.
Okay,
But they're a little bit,
then we'll go
We're
with,
gonna be able to hear them.
but we're a little too low.
sorry?
They're a little
We
bit.
barely heard Susan.
Oh, that I'm not sure how we deal with, but I'll try to find out. That's internal to the system. That's not Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to find a way to turn that up because all the presentations are gonna
But
be.
if you down there.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the, it's on the speaker.
Oh, here. Yeah, like one computer at home. It's a speaker, it's a speaker.
Give us 1 second, everyone. We're just trying to make, I think you can hear us. We're making it so we can hear you. Dana, if you want to stay on, we're about to start with you. I see you typing in the chat. You give us 2 minutes.
Susan, could you say something so we could test the audio?
I didn't, it sounds, the audio is better now than when you started.
Okay.
And we can hear you, that's important.
That's also good. Okay, we're good. That's as good as we can do for right now. Do you want me to promote?
Okay, yeah, let's promote Dana. We're going to switch the schedule a little bit because I think Dana's on, has to catch a flight. So Dana, we're promoting you now. We're going to start with the MLK Scholars Harvard Social Change Collaboration. This is Street Activity Small, July 17th, West 4th between Washington Square and Green.
Hello, everyone. I'm really sorry. I'm here right now.
Hi. So thanks, Dana. If you could just give us a quick overview of the event. I also have a diagram which I can share while you're speaking, and then we may just have some questions for you to answer after that. But maybe just give us a quick overview of what it is, what's happening, what the setup is, et cetera. That would be great.
Okay, so we are going to be having this event at 50 West 4th, which is the Google Welcome Center. It's a collaboration with the MLK Scholars Assistant Director, who was a former employee at Harvard and is now doing this collaboration of the Harvard Social Change Program, which is we're going to have a panel set up for students to have a Q&A session with our invited group. Supposed to last only 2 hours, believe maybe hour and a half to 45 minutes for the paneling. And then after that, a quick bite, then back in to have kind of discussions, questions and all of that. We have requested to have 2 food trucks at the very front of Gould. Unfortunately, these last couple of weeks, I've had a difficulty getting in contact with the food vendors, but we already spoke with one maybe an hour and a half ago. And the information I was missing was, I believe, a certificate or permit from the DOT. I'm not sure if that's an insurance certificate for the food truck vendor. I don't have that currently for either of them, but I will probably have that information by tomorrow, 5 for at least one of the food truck vendors. There's also a mistake that I made when placing the request. I said it was going to be from the 17th to the 18th. Is only one day. It's July 17th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm sorry.
Say that again, July 16th now or 17th?
17 is a 17 because
Okay.
I have it on the document. It says from the 17th to the 18th.
Yeah.
It should just be the 17th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, only one day. Okay.
Yes.
So I put up here the diagram that was sent across. So is everything other than the food trucks, is it happening inside? You're just seeking a permit to park the food trucks in the curb lane, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And can you just give a quick background on the MLK, just out of curiosity? Is this a specific program within NYU?
Correct. My apologies. So the collaboration comes because of we have new admitted students, and of course, students participating in the MLK Scholars Program are students that are prone to civil change, social change, following behind the message of Dr. King, and the collaboration with the Harvard Social Change Group. This is just the first of many activities that we usually have in collaboration with other groups around NYU. This is just the first time we're having the food trucks added. The MLK Scholars have been a program that's been with NYU for quite some time. I'm just really brand new to it. And I have brand new directors. So all of this is pretty new to us. We're kind of learning as we go. But yeah, we do have around 56 admitted students that are part of the program now. This is going to be just one of the first events that we're holding for them.
Got it. Okay, and you said you have one truck for now and possibly 2.
Yes, the second truck is actually part of iBuy and is one of our frequently used vendors, which is Big Gay Ice Cream. The issue here is that I haven't been able to speak with the person that's in charge of accounts, which is usually the one that sends me the invoices to pay. And that usually gets taken care of within a day or so.
Okay. Sorry, I realize I'm sharing this whole screen. Let me get back to that. And then are you any amplified sound or nothing other than just the trucks parked there?
Correct. Any AV usage would be used inside of the lobby and the theater space at Gould.
Okay. And then do you have a plan for any sort of waste control where you have bags or something out there for people to throw food waste into?
So we have our own canisters at Gold.
Okay,
At the very entrance of the lobby, there's one, and then right at the entrance of the theater, there's another one. What we expect to happen is that folks are going to get their food and they're going to mingle in the lobby. And once they're done in the lobby, they're going to go back into the theater to kind of have their discussions.
and you said one truck was Big Gay Ice Cream. What's the other one? Did you say that?
The other truck is the original Caribbean King.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else want to ask? Let's open it up to the committee.
It's open to the public.
If anyone wants, if anyone else like from the public wants to stop by the food trucks, I'm assuming that's fine, right? It's not going to be in white.
No, so we've ordered for the amount of people that have RSVP'd and an extra 15%. Just because the person that I spoke with at Sapo did explain that because it's on the public street, if anyone was to come up to the truck, we kind of have to serve them as well. So in order to not have no food left, we're accounting to have an additional amount of food just in case that happens.
Okay. Good question. Yes, Michael.
I have a question about eating. Would people be required?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
How can I be heard?
You can move that.
Would people be required to eat indoors, or if they wanted to, could they eat outside, and are any provisions being made for that?
So the reason we are kind of thinking about having them eat indoors is because we want our students to mingle with the Harvard group, kind of chit chat while they eat, and have other students that are new to the program mingle with the students that have already been at the program, the second year, the third year, and are seniors.
So again, my question would be, if anyone wants to eat outside, are any provisions being made, tables, chairs, anything like that, or nothing outside?
Nothing else out. I'm not sure if you know where Gould is, but around the corner from Gould, there's Shorts Plaza. And there's a series of benches along Gould and along Bopes. So if they wanted to eat outside, they actually could. And then we have the different canisters at the beginning of the entrance of Shorts Plaza, in the middle, and towards the end.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any other questions, comments in the room? Okay, if anyone else on the screen has a comment or question, please raise your hand now. Do we see any?
I didn't see any,
Okay,
you're on the phone and you want to raise your hand, it's *9.
all right. I see none. I think we can end it there. So thank you, Dana, for joining our meeting. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for accommodating me. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go back to the agenda. What do we have next on here? Nothing NYC. So I think that's near. I want to promote. Promote him, Mark Amir.
I'm sorry, who am I?
Amir Shayagan.
He is. He's here twice.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
We'll try one and
One may be a phone.
oh, he very handy, helpfully raised his hand, so that should tell us. Okay. Should we promote both Amirs or just one enough? Sometimes they have a second person that's.
Jared is raising his hand.
How you doing?
Hi, Amir. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining and bearing with us here with the hybrid.
It's my pleasure. I know it's all new for everybody. And my associate Jared Corey, who's working up there, he is. He's on the screen there too. Is working on this project with me.
Okay. So yeah, I think we're going back to the agenda now, so let's start with the Nothing NYC Gansevoort Plaza, July 13th. So yeah, go ahead, Amir, if you want to start with that one.
Yeah, you got it. Not a problem. So Nothing, this is the Nothing mobile phone launch. It's actually a British mobile phone provider that is launching a new product line and is excited to be able to show off their wares here in the States. The activation is set to take place on the in the curb lane on the north side of Gansevoort Street between Washington and Greenwich. The activation is in conjunction with, they're using the inside of Common Grounds restaurant as well. That's why the location was selected. So basically they're going to set up in the curb lane some stanchions along the curb lane. Then they're going to kind of delineate the space from the street. And they're going to drop a kind of like a kiosk. May I share my screen? I have some additional.
Can we enable that?
It should already.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Let's see, bear with me 1 second while I figure out how to do this.
It'd be a big green button, share screen at the bottom of the Zoom.
Yeah, I see. I'm just trying to find the right, here we are. Okay, do you see my screen here?
Yes. Yep.
Excellent.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, bear with me 1 second. So north side of Gansevoort Street here, they're going to kind of create a stanchion line along here to provide some protection for attendees. People can walk in from this side. There's going to be stanchion for kind of like a quick check-in for people to come, so they can kind of share info and get more information about the products. And then there's going to be this kiosk here that looks like this that you can walk into. That's going to have some product display and some information about the phone itself. And then there's going to be a little bit of a product demo next adjacent to it. So basically just setting things up in the street. The load in is going to start roughly 6 a.m. with some deliveries. Activation itself is from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then the event is going to be loaded out and cleaned up by 11:59 p.m. So it's just a quick in and out for the event. Basically just a product launch where people can come and experience the new product. All just display, no sales on site. We're going to have 2-3 security guards on site as well to kind of help keep some order. We're also going to have some cleanup crew around as well to pick up any garbage or refuse that might be made from the event itself. There's no plans for any significant audio. If anything, it would just be some very low level music from like a little portable speaker or something like that for some background music. But that's really it. Nothing of note from anything that would be a significant impact to the local community. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Would you mind pulling up sort of that photo again of the activation?
This one here?
Yeah. So that's all going to fit in the curb lane? Yes.
Yeah. So this thing's not particularly wide. It's about, I want to say about 8 feet in width. So that'll fit nicely into the 10-foot curb lane.
Okay. And then is this sort of fully open to the public?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's like a banner area, entry area, check-in.
Yeah, there's no banner here. I mean, we've actually cut that from the project, so there's no like grand opening moment, but anybody can come. Anybody's happy to come and check it out. This is free and open to the public.
Okay. Is there any food or drink? Sorry if you mentioned that.
No, there isn't.
No. No.
Everything.
Rocio, if you could mute, please.
Yes.
Please mute. Thank you. Okay, and you said there's also an event happening inside Common Ground. Is there any kind of?
So there's kind of like a VIP kind of activation in conjunction with this inside the Common Ground bar, but private property off the street, so not part of the SAPO activation.
And then is there, we always ask this question, is there any sort of connection with any of the local businesses here? Like, is this phone going to be sold in any of these stores? I'm trying to just wonder how they picked this specific one, other than is this like a random bar that they decided to partner with?
I think they just have a connection with this bar and in this restaurant in the neighborhood. So that's why they decided to do it here. We were actually wanted to use the Gansevoort Plaza, but that was taken on the day. So we decided to move it by the store that we were activating with.
And like, do they plan on opening a store in meatpacking? I mean, is there?
I don't think they're looking to open a dedicated retail store, but they wanted to kind of promote their product.
Okay.
So, I mean, electronic stores would potentially carry their product, but they're not like the Samsung store or AT&T store. They're not looking to open a brick and mortar.
Okay. You said there's cleanup crew, 2-3 security guards.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me open it up to the room here for questions. Go ahead.
So, Amir, can you hear me?
Yes,
So you said loading starts at 6 a.m.
correct.
How many trucks are required to set up? And are there any plans for off-site parking, or is parking for the delivery trucks included in the curb lane? How is that working?
So the trucks are going to deliver and leave. So we're not accounting for any additional parking for besides what we're looking to have here. I would say two trucks probably. Jared, do you know how many trucks are coming?
Won't be more than two. One for the actual kiosk, and then one will bring the stanchion barricades and the loose items. It won't be more than two.
It's
Okay.
pretty minimal setup. It's not too extensive.
Okay, thank you.
I guess going off of that, I mean, is it necessary to have it, 11 hours ahead of the start of the event, or is there a reason it's starting so early?
Yeah, I mean, that's the delivery times that our vendors are able to make and accommodate. So they'll bring it in. They just want to make sure they have everything set up in time for the open.
Also minimizing any traffic on the block. That's why we want to have the trucks in early.
That too.
Is the event taking place at the bar's outdoor seating?
No.
Didn't they have an event there like recently that we like photos? I'm sorry?
Motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing that was there, but they were throughout the whole block, right? I think.
But it was at a different, maybe it was at the store next door to it. Remember they were like having 500 people or something
Common Ground?
next door to the Common Ground. Maybe that store was there.
Oh, the crew, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not associated with them, right?
Okay.
I don't think they're associated with. Yeah, I remember the crew. Okay, do we have any other questions in the room? Yes, Michael?
Did you tell us how many people you were expecting or anticipating? Have invitations gone out to anyone, or will it just be people passing by?
It's for passersby. They're promoting, they're going to have like a media release as pretty common for this type of activation, so that people are aware that it's going on. But there's no specific number. I know we can accommodate probably a couple of hundred over the course of the time that we're out there, but we don't anticipate there being a large influx of people at any one particular time. It'll be a pretty good flow through.
So would there be any lines of people queuing up, or?
Yeah, if there is a queue, we have that accommodated in our site plan here with the line queue with the stanchion and the barrier.
So will the queue be in the curb lane or on the sidewalk?
In the curb lane.
In the curb.
And then have you connected with any of the other businesses on that block? Like I think RH is there. and maybe some of the retail, like through who the line might kind of, who this would kind of go in front of. Have you talked to them at all, gotten any feedback?
I haven't.
That would be, well, it's set for 3 days, but that might be something you want to do in the next day or two, just to give them a heads up.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay, so was this arranged, Amir, with the bid, the meatpacking bid?
Say that again?
Is this a contract with the meatpacking bid?
No, the bid doesn't have jurisdiction over SAPO permits in a curb lane outside of their plaza areas. So I don't have a contract with the bid, no.
Okay.
Did you work with them at all or no? Not, you didn't work with them?
They're aware of it, but I haven't, there's no specific contract here with the bid for this.
Okay. Anyone else? What's that? Go ahead. No, yeah, I was saying before I go, anyone else here? Okay, I see Pete Davies has his hand raised. Let's go to Pete.
Okay. Yes, the image on the screen now, could you scroll that up so we can see the full image? And can you scroll to the left? There. The bottom left, you show a phone booth in the street. Where will that be located?
That's just an example from a previous, just as an example from a previous activation of this booth. There's no phone booth as part of our activation.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Good question. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, seeing none, I think we can move on to the next event.
Thank you.
The next one I think is also you, Amir. So the next one.
Lucky me.
I'll be signing off. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, so yeah, the next one is the Burberry Summer Cart, July 21st, 22nd, spring between Worcester and Green, partial sidewalk closure.
That's correct. Bear with me 1 second. I can share something for that too.
Great.
Right. If you could let my associate, Aubrey Emery, I believe she's on, in for this one too, that'd be great.
I don't see her.
No? Okay.
Is she maybe under your name?
Perhaps.
That happens when you forward the Zoom invites. Huh?
Oh, maybe that's what happened.
Okay, there should be a button on Aubrey's screen. You'll have to press it or not. You've got it now. Okay.
I'm ready when you guys are.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So, as you mentioned, yes, Friday, July 21st and Saturday, July 22nd, in front of 131 Spring Street, which is Burberry's brick and mortar store on Spring Street. We're hoping to put a small cart to hand out beverages to passersby as well as guests who are coming in and out of the store. The idea would be to start our setup at on or around 9 a.m. On the event day. Bring the cart in. That would be active from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. each day, and then the cart would be closed down. It'll be left on site after the first day, and then it would activate the second day and then be removed right afterwards. Basically, it's let's see, I have a picture. This is what the cart looks like. This would sit in the this would sit in the curb lane, not on the sidewalks. This would be in the curb lane in front of the store. And then if there would be any need for queuing, we would set up some stanchion on the sidewalk for some queuing. We are going to have security there as well. A couple security guards from the store dedicated to the activation. And we'd also have cleanup staff there as well, and kind of working on the area and making sure, because this would be a, I think it's lemonade that we're giving away.
It's iced tea and lemonade.
Iced tea and lemonade. Thank you,
Yes.
Aubrey.
Yes, and the staff is there for cleanup, but also for to engage with passerbys.
Yeah, so brand ambassadors, if you will. Yeah, that's basically it. There's no audio, there's no anything associated with it. It's kind of just a quick little enhancement for folks coming in and out of the store, as well as passersby. Anybody who stops by and wants a cold beverage on a summer day, happy to is allowed to stay. And we obviously will have the appropriate Department of Health permitting for the food giveaway as well, or beverage giveaway, I should say. That's basically it.
And are you partnering with, who are you partnering with for the beverages? Is it a specific brand or?
No, these are all branded for Burberry.
Okay.
Which is where this little cart will be located, right in front of the Burberry storefront. So they are prepackaging these beverages, and it'll be branded specifically for Burberry.
Okay. So just want to make sure I have this right, because I think it's a little different than the application I have. So the one I have is for north sidewalk closure. This is curb lane.
That's been updated. It just it hasn't been
Maybe it's
reflected just yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's now.
Safeco just hasn't made the update yet.
Correct.
Okay, so curb lane, not partial sidewalk. So there's nothing technically on the sidewalk other than, I guess, if people are waiting to get lemonade.
Correct. And if it comes that there is actual queue, we could have some stanchion and stuff there to help organize the line. But at this time, we don't have plans for anything on the sidewalk.
Okay. And then it says, okay, it says on here also 12 a.m. load in, and that's not true, obviously. So it's 7 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, we put those hours in so that we can have the cone guys come and hold the parking. But in terms of our load in, we're looking at some, in the morning around 9 a.m. for the cart to show up, as well as the refrigerator truck that's going to have the additional product stored in it. And that's basically going to be it. It's pretty quick and easy setup.
Okay, so it's a cart and a refrigerator truck, so it's like 2 spots.
Yeah.
Right, and you said it's 131 Spring, which is that's just the Burberry store?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Let's open it up to the room here.
Yeah, real quick question, I may have missed this. Is there a specific item being promoted by this activation?
This is just kind of like a enhancement for guests in the store, as well as passersby. So this truck itself is not promoting any one specific product. No, it's just kind of a feel-good thing that the Burberry store wanted to do for guests and passersby.
Thank you.
Looking at it, Google Maps here.
I think Versio has a question.
Oh yeah, Rocio.
Thank you. Simple question. Are these bottles recyclable and 5 cents?
What was the recyclable? I presume so. And what was the second part of that?
5 cents
Oh,
to
5
return to the
cents.
stores.
That the 5 cent part, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they are recyclable. How do we know if they're 5 cents?
They should say so.
Oh, it would say so. Okay.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but these aren't for retail, so they don't have that printed on the bottles. But yes, as Amir had mentioned, they are recyclable.
Thank you.
They're glass bottles, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Pete?
Anybody else on the board? No? Yeah, Pete. No, yeah, Pete, go ahead. Pete, are you there?
Here now. Unfortunately, we're looking at the application that's presented to us, and I know you say it's been updated, but so the Genie is a generator?
Jenny, yeah, there's a small 1-gallon generator that's going to be used to power the refrigerator prior to opening. And then they turn it off and take it away once we're open. But it's a really small generator, probably about the size of like a bowling ball bag, if you will.
So the hours that the generator will be operating below the windows where people live is what?
So I understand where you're going with this. It's not a generator that's going to be belching a lot of exhaust into locals' homes. But I would say that the generator would probably be running from about 9 to about noon.
Okay, and then you mentioned a truck that will be holding the product.
Yeah, so obviously the cart can only hold a certain amount of product, so the truck adjacent to it will hold additional stock.
And that's a refrigerated truck that has a generator running?
It
I
will
don't
not be
believe so,
running.
no.
It won't be running during the time. It's only
No,
for
I
storage.
understand that it won't be idling, but it has a generator for the refrigeration that's separate from the engine.
So let me double check the refrigeration piece. As far as I know, the truck is going to be off and there won't be any exhaust bothering any of
So
the.
this is not about exhaust, this is about noise and low decibel
or noise.
sound.
Or noise.
None of which is reflected in the paperwork that we got because we were told this is on the sidewalk, not in the street. But thank you for the info, and I hope the committee gets the full information so this can be properly considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, so sometimes when we get an initial application, things change from the time of application to the time of the activation, which we keep the SAPO office apprised of. And we hope that they make the changes in a timely manner, but we appreciate that that's not always the case. And we will make sure that they have the full picture. Thank you.
You said it's like 9 to 2 that the generator is going to be on each day.
Noon.
9 a.m. to noon. And how big is a one? I mean, I can Google it, but about how big is a 1-gallon generator?
I mean, you know, like the size of like 2 shoe boxes, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite small.
Okay.
To the point where it doesn't even require a permit from the fire department. It's so small.
Okay. Interesting. Any other hands raised? Don't see any. Okay. So,
Thank you very much.
Amir, if you could just you could just hang around. We're going to go in order and then we'll come back to you. So you have one more. If that's
Yeah,
all right.
Aubrey and I'll stay around for the next one when it's our turn again.
Great.
Thank you.
So next, Supergroup Summer Roadshow 2023, Broadway between Prince and West Houston, Curb Lane. I think Giovanni.
We gotta promote.
Got to promote. Yeah, Giovanni. Sorry.
You didn't go through. And there we go. Hi, everybody. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having us. We also have Veronica here from the Pro Mobile team, and there we go. I see her appearing there now. Okay, so just quick background. I'm coming from Pro Mobile Marketing. We're an experiential agency that puts on events, often like the ones that I'm sure you deal with tons of applications for on a daily basis. This particular event is for the brand called Supergoop. It is one of the more respected sunscreens in the industry. They're a brand that's sold specifically at the Sephora location in Soho that's on Broadway. So we're hosting an experiential activation for them. The whole purpose of it is to promote their sunscreens during this summer heat wave and kind of global warming time, to make sure that we encourage everyone to get out and about in the city, but at the same time, let's make sure that we have our skincare in mind and we have the SPF protection in mind in a clean, conscious fashion. So the activation consists of a Supergoop branded food truck, which ideally would be parked in the curb lane. And I just have the SAPO application up here because I want to make sure that all of that information is updated. But it would be parked in a curb lane just a block north. The reference address for that would be 575 Broadway, which is Broadway between Prince and East Houston. The 575 location specifically is closer to Prince, so on the south side of that block. Essentially, this is a just prepackaged activation. Everything comes in that truck. So we are intending just to block off enough space for just that branded truck, which is approximately 30 feet in length, which will be parked in the curb lane. There will be a queue on the sidewalk kept tight to the truck. We did adjust this activation with the client. Originally, it was supposed to be an ice cream giveaway. Currently, we switched that because ice cream can create too much of a queue in the Soho area specifically. And we know we need to avoid that. So we entered into a partnership with Swoon, which is a healthy soft drink beverage. It's one of these more kind of like smaller brands that is popping up in retail chains nationwide. They use all clean and real ingredients. So we have a custom can developed by Swoon with a label on it that's the Supergoop and Swoon partnership. And that will be the giveaway to all guests that want to come by and grab a cold can of the Supergoop Swoon lemonade. In addition to the giveaway of the can, all of which is completely free, no transactions, they're going to be sampling their SPF products. So it's in a format you can use it right on site, take it with you. And we have plenty of samples to go with the guests. All of that was designed so it's really grab and go. There is no wait. I mean, you come up, you grab a can, you grab your samples, and then off everybody goes. And that's basically the gist of the activation there, to make sure they promote that product in relation to the proximity to that Sephora store specifically. The load-in is misscheduled on the SAPO application. I'm not sure why. It's at 6 a.m. We do not need 6 a.m. We need to be there by 10 a.m. at the very earliest. We go live at 12 p.m. and we are done by 5 p.m. and the loadout is done by 5:30 p.m. The loadout is basically just shut the window of the truck, and then the crew will go and just make sure that the site is clean, that there is nothing on site, kind of leave everything as we found it or in better shape. Yeah, I think that's the gist of it. We did include in that document, if you scroll down, just photos of what the truck would look like, just so you can make sure that you understand what that branding looks like. It does have full DOT compliance. The branding on the can is also there. We made sure that it was a zero sugar product. We want to make sure that we're getting healthy and real ingredients out there as well. And the SPF is pretty much top of line, just as a respected brand. Yeah. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Let me look back here through my notes. So I guess you mentioned the sports store. I mean, does Supergoop have any presence in the neighborhood? Or are they just sold at other stores like Sephora? And I guess same question on Swoon, I would be curious to hear.
Correct. So Supergoop only is retailed at different retail outlets, Sephora being one of their biggest nationwide partnerships. They're available at Sephora's nationwide. I believe they're also available at Ulta Beauty stores, and then a host of other retailers. But Sephora is definitely their flagship and biggest account. Swoon is obviously not in Sephora, but Swoon is in stores like Whole Foods, I believe nationwide distribution, and then a couple other boutique markets throughout the New York City area as well.
Okay. And then are you going to be playing any music in the truck, any amplified sound?
No, not for this one, especially not in this location. It's not necessary. It's not really going to add anything to it. So we didn't apply for the amplified sound permit, nor will we have any ambient music or anything like that. Not needed. The area is dense enough where you really don't need to do anything to attract more folks.
Okay. And then in terms of, waste management, I guess, if people have cans to dispose of, if they drink it quickly right there, are you going to have a place to put them?
Correct. So we have a recycling bin there because all these cans are full. These cans are made from compostable materials and they also can be recycled. So we have a recycling bin that we also take back to our Long Island City production base. And then that's where it's sorted out through all just our full commercial waste management contracts. So if someone decides to drink it right there, they have the appropriate facilities there to dispose of it. And then additionally, our policy, just anytime we do an event in New York City or coast to coast, is to ensure that that crew goes up and down that entire block. Unfortunately, not everyone is as responsible as we'd like them to be with that. So, you know, if they see 10 cans in a New York City garbage can, we just pluck them out real quick, put them in our bags, get rid of it and go. It's not a big deal for us to handle that.
Let's open it up to the room.
A quick additional point, we do have, I know I mentioned the queue on the sidewalk. We do have 2 to 3 brand ambassadors that will also be there, just to encourage and make sure that you're getting in the queue at the right spot, you're getting everything quickly. And if you have any questions, they're there to also answer those questions for you. Veronica, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they'll be in branded Supergroup t-shirts, just so they're easily distinguishable.
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect.
Okay. Do we have any questions in the room? No. Someone has their hand raised. Pete has his hand raised. Let's go to Pete.
Hi, Pete.
Thanks for keeping me up. I just directing to everyone to the comment from Lee Benke in the chat, member of our Broadway Residents Coalition Group. We have spent many years trying to get proper enforcement for no food trucks in metered areas all along Broadway. Metered food trucks are not legally allowed from Monday through Saturday on Broadway because of the meters. So any allowance for food trucks creates a confusing situation. It encourages others that might not have a SAPO permit to come. It's just SAPO's aware of this. CB2 is aware of this. And we really ask that this application be denied. And I guess that's all I've got to say. It really is not helpful in the ongoing effort that the community has been making for many, many years to get the food truck situation under control. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback, Pete. Completely understand it from a resident's perspective. Food trucks can be, well, let's be transparent, like a plate, right? One shows up and sells $100 worth of something, and all of a sudden everyone's showing up there, right? So the last thing we want to do is encourage any of that. I mean, we can assure you that the design of this by intent is not to look or behave or be a food truck in any sense. It's just the most logical vessel because refrigeration is built in essentially, and we can keep cans cold and make sure that the client isn't charged additional for fabrication of a unit. But I mean, I do understand and appreciate your perspective on that.
One more question, I'm sorry. You say it's solar powered and friendly, but it does have a generator to keep things cold and refrigerated, correct?
That's correct. So the way this truck works is it has solar panels built in and a battery that holds up to 6 hours of power when you're running at full capacity. When you're just running refrigerators, the power consumption on it for the solar aspect runs anywhere from 9 to 12 hours, depending on kind of how much sun we have. So 9 hours would be a minimum, which is more than the time we need. The backup generator, which is an inverter-based generator, is a Honda 6500 EU. So they run between 52 and 60 decibels if it activates. In this case, that generator, I can't see a world where it turns on to recharge those batteries for any reason, because we're just running refrigerators and lights, which are of minimal wattage. So there is no noise coming from that generator. It would be strictly battery powered at that point. So yeah, I think that overall it would be the best case scenario with respect to your feedback on, hey, we don't want a ton of trucks in that area.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. We have another hand raised, Renee Montrose. Monrose, sorry. Renee, you are promoted. Or accept.
I think she has to accept to join.
You try unmuting her, Mark.
That's to join you. Renee, you have to click on the button that says unmute.
I don't know. All right. Well. Renee, can you hear us? Otherwise, we're gonna have to move on. There we are. Can you, there we are.
Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear you. Hello?
How about that?
Oh, there. Okay.
Perfect.
Hi there. I would just like to add my voice to as another member of Broadway Residents Coalition to the objection to this. Beyond anything, it's the precedent it sets. Since we have been for years actively every weekend trying to fend off the food trucks. And whether it's going to operate like a food truck, it's going to look like a food truck, and people are going to think it's a food truck, and other food trucks are going to think it's a food truck. So that's a terrible precedent, and really is kind of a betrayal of all our efforts. Also, I just want to add that both Pete and I live on the block with the Museum of Ice Cream, where there is a line with stanchions, but it still causes major pedestrian problems on that block because the streets of Soho are so crowded, and that stretch of Broadway is crowded too. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, to your point, Renee, we originally did apply for a permit that was directly in front of the Sephora store. Due to the crowds, we were not allowed, and we were asked to change the location, which is why we moved it a little bit further away.
Right.
Regarding the queue, that's kind of the easier part to address a little bit. You know, we switched the activation for Soho specifically to make sure that it was a grab and go, because, you know, even 10 people in a queue, in an ideal world, I'd like to say that they would all be organized and stay tight to the truck and kind of march in line. But we all know that the reality is that that doesn't happen most of the time when there's a queue. So we have to make sure that, you know, this was grab and go. You come to the window and kind of off you go, right, with your samples and your product. In regards to the efforts for the Broadway Residents Coalition, you know, again, it's a tough one to address. I understand the concern. I think you are correct. It is a conflict there, right? I mean, I can't sit here and tell you, no, look, I understand, right? I mean, hopefully, if there's anything that we can do to help ensure that, hey, this doesn't look like a food truck going on, or is there any markings that we can make this look like a special event and ensure that everyone sees, hey, there's a very expensive permit tied to this. You know, don't come here, you will get kicked out, right? If there's anything there, we'd be happy to hear it and happy to kind of put that into play. But yeah, I think that is something to consider.
Yeah, I don't know how you can hide a food truck, but
I think that would be tough, nor would it be the goal. But again, I
exactly.
think that when they're branded, I do think there is some distinction. But to your point, realistically, it's a food truck. Whether it's dressed in wolf's clothing or not, it's a food truck, right? So ideally, if there's anything that we can do that anyone here can think of to kind of combat that and not destroy the precedent that you've set, because, you know, I get from being a New York City resident for 11 years that sucks, right? So any way that we can help with that, let us know, and we're happy to play ball.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I guess, would you consider moving it to a different location? I should just ask that question.
I think the client is open. The biggest thing for the client is really just to have a line of sight with the Sephora, right? So if there was, for example, like instead of being on the west curb lane, the east curb lane works better. There's a little less density there. I don't think they're concerned with the density so much, meaning that Supergoop will be able to have enough people flow through, right? They're a respected enough brand. So I do think they would be open if it was somewhere within the proximity, and particularly within line of sight. And I'd be happy to run that by them. But yeah, I mean, overall, that would be something they would consider. Worst case scenario, right? Again, we want to be a part of the community, not break the precedent, the work that's been set. I mean, and just from a company perspective, we've done everything from run the 21 vaccination buses for the mayor's office and all the underserved communities in New York to 23,000 meals a day for World Central Kitchen to the frontliners. So we understand what it is to make sure we're a part of that community. Not to go too far off on a tangent, but ultimately, yeah, I mean, if the worst case scenario is it's in the same neighborhood and you're getting the walking traffic from someone leaving Sephora versus being directly in front of Sephora, I think that's a compromise they would probably be willing to make. I would just want to run it by them first.
Okay, that's good to know. We definitely appreciate that.
Sure. There's a happy middle ground kind of for everything if we can work towards that.
Yeah. Oh, Rocio has her hand raised.
Yes, can you tell us of the area that the Broadway Residents Coalition covers? Does anybody know?
I don't.
Not you, but somebody else.
Yeah, we're Broadway and side streets off of Broadway from Houston to Canal in Soho, Broadway and Soho.
Thank you, Pete.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you both for taking the time to attend our meeting today.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right, we're back to Amir round 3. Did he leave? No, there he is. Yeah, there, okay.
For the trifecta here today, I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for enduring me this evening.
So this is August 15th, my birthday, by the way. Airy Gansevoort Plaza activation. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna share my screen again. I think I'd be better at this by this point. Sorry, hold on 1 second.
Great, Jones.
Airy, this is the area that maybe
Sure.
let him do it. Let's see if Amir can do it.
There we are. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So as you mentioned, I think this is a typo here, right? It says August
It's a
18th,
typo.
right?
It's on the
We're-
15th.
okay.
That's correct.
Off to a great start here. We're definitely August 15th. We have our load-in day on the 14th. But basically, this is an activation for Airy, which is if anybody here has a teenage daughter or girl in their family, knows all about this brand, as I do now, whether I like it or not. So the event is scheduled for Tuesday, August 15th. So Airy is going to create a sort of a pop-up flea market, farmer's market kind of vibe in the Gansevoort Plaza for the day to help kind of promote the new line of Airy products. So one day brand experience, and they want to create community through positivity is their message. So it's a whole feel good message for everybody out there. Let's see the next page. So here is the location is Gansevoort Plaza, as we discussed. And here's the site plan, and I can kind of talk through a bit of what the site plan entails. This is just our queuing area for people walking into the plaza. If you can see my mouse on the screen as well. This will be a bit of an entryway arch for people coming into the plaza area to kind of experience everything that's going on there. This is going to be a kind of a table with gift bags and greeters, kind of sharing message when people walk into the plaza. This is going to be an Airy booth where they're going to be showing their products, and this is a booth where they're going to, which is I guess they call it comfort closet, which is essentially dressing rooms. People can try on different garments if they choose, and then these are going to be vendor booths, which I'll get into momentarily in terms of what's going to be entailed there. But that's going to be kind of like food and kind of merchandise and et cetera, all giveaway items, local to New York and the meatpacking district, et cetera. So, and then we have stanchion around the plaza to delineate the space. This sidewalk remains open for passersby who are traversing east-west, and then this side of the plaza remains open for north-south pedestrian traffic. So in terms of guest experience, it's fully open to the public, free and open to the public. There's no sale of anything. Everything that's on site is just giveaway items, as well as testing and seeing the product. greeted by an ambassador as they come in, given a gift bag, stanchions set up for organized line queuing. And then we're going to have a like a little bit of a spin a prize wheel for gift cards and little giveaways, and DJ who's just kind of playing some low-level music to kind of give a little ambiance to the plaza. It's not a named DJ, but just kind of giving a little bit of background music for the thing. Our security plan, we're going to be working with the Garlic Security Group. Many of you might be familiar with him. He's a mainstay in the area. He's going to have 13 officers stationed throughout the footprint, 2 at entry, one at each vendor booth and area in the plaza, as well as 3 floaters throughout the plaza, just to make sure that, kind of give breaks and make sure that anybody who needs any extra help has it. Let's see, sanitation plan. We also, since there will be some food giveaway as part of this, we do have people that we've hired to help kind of manage and clean up the space, with multiple trash pickups over the course of the day, as well as on the load-in day. So the activations themselves, the vendor booths, I should say, pop-up bagels, Donuttery, Mikey Likes It, Cobra Coffee. I believe Cobra Bagels Pop-Up Bagels is within CB2, if I'm not mistaken. So is Donuttery is in the meatpacking district. So we did look to go local, all our local New York companies that we're having as part of the activation as well. Sunday Forever, Inked by Danny, Brooklyn Blooms, also local New York vendors who are doing custom bracelets, temporary tattoos, and flower giveaways. The activation booths is kind of a little bit of expansion on what that is. So the Hidden Gems product booth, they have 10 pieces of new clothing items that from the fall 23 collection that they are looking to show off. The newspaper stand, giving away copies of the Airy lookbook. The comfort closet, as I mentioned, is a fitting booth, and then the prize wheel, as I mentioned already. Just a little bit more about the vendors themselves. We don't need to get into too much detail, and I've shared this through to the community board if they wanted to learn a little bit more about each of the vendors, but all pretty self-explanatory based on the type of product or service that they offer. And same thing for the food items here. So Mikey Likes It ice cream, Cobra Coffee, and that's about it. I should note that our hours. So the activation, we're going to load in on August 14th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. With security and management the whole time. The activation itself is on the 15th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then everything would be loaded out before midnight, so that they're out of there before the end of the day. That's basically it. Locations for production parking. I think that just got updated today. We just got some more information from our client about that. So that would be east side of Greenwich, between Gansevoort and Horatio, and the metered parking there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Generator would be in that little extension of the plaza on the north side of Gansevoort Street, back over there before you get to, I believe that's Hudson.
You weren't able to just use the hookup on this one? It's too much?
They don't have ground power in that plaza, I don't believe.
There is a box in the plaza. That is a good question. Let me find out about that. That slipped my mind that there is power there. If we are able to tap into that, we will do it. I think part of the issue with that box is that it has the type of connection for it isn't useful for a lot of events, but let me double check on that. And if we can eliminate the generator, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, there's definitely a box there, but I know some applicants have not been able to use it because it was just too big of an event or whatnot. And where again would the generator be? If you could just repeat that.
North side. So on the north side of Gansevoort Street, as the plaza kind of tapers as it goes east, there's a little bit of the curb lane on the north side. That's where it would live.
Okay.
But if we can use the house power, then we get rid of that, of course.
Yeah, I see. I see. Okay. That was I think a pretty thorough presentation. Let me see if anyone in the room has some questions. Have any right off the bat?
So I heard you mention that all the samples were in the vendors are being given out, so there's no sales at all at
No. It's
even
all free giveaway.
the clothing?
No, not the clothing. The clothing is going to be is for display, but no giveaways of clothing. There will be some. Like I said, the prize wheel might have some giveaways for people who spin. But the merchandise is there to view and to try on. But there's no on-site purchase. There's no on-site sales.
You said just simple as to try on it.
Say that again, please.
Why do they want to try on it? They want to try something on they can't buy or they can't get?
Well, you want to try it on, make sure you get the right sizing, but we know that we can't sell in the plaza, so we aren't. And if you can just make sure you know your sizing, then you can go online and make whatever purchase you want, feeling confident in the size that you've selected.
Yes, this is a large event. What percentage of the plaza would be open for passersby who are not participating in this event?
So this whole area of the plaza here is all open.
And about what percent is it? Is the furniture still there? Is anything being moved that would be difficult for people to use the plaza?
So from a percentage perspective, let's call it 20% of the plazas remains open and free. And in terms of whether the other items can live there, let me talk to the client and with the bid, and we'll see if we can arrange to have anything left behind there.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Rocio?
Can you tell us if the vendors that are going to be participating, are they from the neighborhood?
Yes, I believe that, let's see, I believe Pop-Up Bagels is in Soho. And I believe that Donuttery is in the meatpacking district. So those are definitely local to the specific area. And then all of them are local New York businesses.
And Kubrick.
And Kubrick, right? And Kubrick.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
correct.
yes, in Kubrick.
Yeah. Okay.
And is Aerie sold in stores local or just online?
Aerie does have brick and mortar locations, but that's a fair point. I don't know where their closest store is.
There's one in Soho.
There it is, yeah.
One in Soho?
Soho,
Yeah.
It's like on
It's on
Houston.
Sprint?
No, it's on,
Sprint.
sorry, it's on Broadway.
By the way, yeah.
Okay. Do we have any questions on the attendee side? See any? No. Thanks, Pete. Pop up. South Village, sorry, yes, you're right.
So close. Sorry. Thank you, Pete.
And Kubrick is in meatpacking in CB2, and then I think Donuttery is in meatpacking, but not CB2.
Not CB2. Okay. Well, we did our best for local flavor.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you, Amir. And
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for hearing all my events tonight. I really appreciate your time, and till the next one.
thank you for your presentation.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did someone come from the technology launch event? Raise your hand, please. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to come. We sent some emails and did not hear back.
If you're on the phone and you want to raise your hand, it's *9.
Yeah, we didn't hear back, so I didn't. Okay. All right, let's go to SHM fundraiser. Not yet, second time. September 10th. Bond between Lafayette and Bowery. We have someone here. I don't see Joshua sit.
Done before.
You saw him on before?
I saw Mr. Sitt before.
Isn't that the one, the place that had an event?
That was one
They weren't gonna have the.
I don't think, they didn't have it, right, Carter? We didn't do the event. What's that? They did? Okay.
The SIGT?
That was the one, yeah, we denied it because it was not open to the public, among other things.
On many.
All right, well, if he's not here, he's not here.
San Gennaro, not just now.
What's that?
San Gennaro, not just now.
Why San Gennaro one?
Just now. Why?
Oh, it's such a big event, we're like always having. All right, let's go to San Gennaro. SHM is not here. No, we do it every year. We've done it every year since I've been here. It's a big event. Okay, yeah, let's elevate John. Is anyone else here from San Gennaro?
John Frada?
Yeah, Arthur as well.
Okay. Sorry, let me triple the mouse. There it is. Sure. You have to click on the button that appears on your screen when I offer you. There you go. We'll just, I also have an email to Joshua Sitt.
Okay.
I see John. Do you have Vivian Catenaccio, the president, in the waiting room?
I don't see her.
Let me see what's going on there. Because I was speaking to her before.
Ask her if she's on a cell phone.
Yeah, is she one of the phones?
All right, but are you on your phone or computer? All right, so hit *9 and. All right, so hang up on me and hit *9 and hope then they let you in. So give them a moment, okay? John's on and I'm on. Okay. Well, hopefully that works.
Hopefully she wasn't the one that just dropped.
She probably was because she answered the phone.
Yeah. Do you want to get started at all, or? I mean, we definitely know the event well. I think we like to just hear sort of takeaways from the previous year. Any changes that are coming this year.
Hold on, she's calling me back.
Okay.
There's no real changes, but we'll address what's going on. Yeah, so listen, why don't you come in again? Once you're in, hit *9. You probably got knocked off because you were on with me, okay? Let's try that. All right, Vivian, say hello and let's see if this works.
All right, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Okay, this is the equivalent of you being in. Okay, so why don't I turn it over to you, Vivian, and just do an opening statement and then we'll respond to questions. Basically, not much has changed other than there'll be less yelling on the street.
Vivian,
you start.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Vivian Catenaccio, President for St. Gennaro. We are opening the feast this year, our 97th year. We're going to have a setup on 9/11, which is Monday. The feast will begin on Thursday, 9/14. It will end on September 24 with a breakdown ending at 9 p.m. And then the next day, 9/25, there'll be a sign off with sanitation as we do every year. The hours of the feast are Monday to Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Let's see what else is new. The producer for the last at least.
Producer for the last 29 years, Mort Berkowitz, had many medical issues last year, and because of his health, he was forced to retire. And I'm in contact with him for questions. We are running the feast ourselves, and we've been doing it along with him for 30 years now. So I think we have a good handle on it. And hopefully everything is going to go well.
Yeah, if I could just add a few comments to that, because quite honestly, I was a little concerned with Mort's history, putting aside certain character traits. This committee has expanded, and I've watched Vivian function through a terrific committee process. Every chair of a committee has the SAPO book and particularly the pages that they are responsible for. And they're including me when they have questions, and SAPO is always available to answer any further questions. So far, I don't think I've gone to SAPO once yet with any follow-up questions. So I think Vivian and John have put together, quite the process to take over the functions, that Mort handled for all these years.
Right. We now have 18 working members. We did apply for our permit back in December, and we did our fire variance. We sent in the appropriate $200 check. We're doing everything according to the schedule, and we're doing pretty well, remarkably.
Okay. Is there a plan, as in previous years, to do some sort of walkthrough? I know folks from CB2 have gone on that in the past.
Yes, every year, mandatory walkthrough on Thursday, the opening day at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. with all the various departments of the city of New York.
At 10 a.m. That's September 14th?
Yes.
That's September 14th, yeah, opening day.
Okay. I have a couple other questions, but is there anything else you wanted to say on this, or should I ask them?
But we also, just so you just, hi, I'm sorry, this is John Fratta. We also do our own walkthrough the day before on Wednesday, just so we could correct any of the concerns that we see. So by the time we do the walkthrough with the city and the community board and everybody else, it should be a smooth walkthrough. We want to deal with these things before and take care of them as soon as possible.
And I usually walk through right before the 10 o'clock to see if there are any other last minute issues we could resolve. So the walkthrough is as smooth as possible.
Got it. But otherwise, the setup, the street closures, all of that's exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know in the past we had sort of had a discussion about restaurants participating or not and the fee that they would contribute. Is it still sort of a voluntary participation type model? Is it kind of the same as we discussed in previous years?
Yes, it is a voluntary participation. and the restaurants are offered a 50% discount to join, and mostly all of them do. We are working with Staple for those restaurants who do not and will not, but most everyone is participating voluntarily.
So like, is that like 90% more? I'm just curious, like how many don't?
I would say 90%, yes,
Okay,
maybe more.
Okay.
There are just a few up north,
yeah, Yeah.
between Spring and Houston. Very few, I would say, certainly less than 10, maybe less than 6.
okay. Yeah, yeah, I think what we had settled on last time was, I think my understanding is for, restaurants, it is voluntary if they choose not to participate, then under whatever outdoor dining regulation, they may or may not still be able to be open. I think they could theoretically be. That was what I remembered from last time, but it's good to hear that 90% did.
I would say yes.
Okay. What else was I going to ask? I think that was the main ones. Rocio, do you have a question? Rocio, go
How
ahead.
many vendors will there be?
There are going to be, I would say, more than 200, less than 250. They're starting to come in now. Most do not know that Mort Berkowitz is not with us anymore, but I'm getting many, many calls, and we're dealing with everyone. So everyone who was there last year, space providing will be there this year. As long as there isn't any scaffolding or any construction in front of that particular location.
Were there any issues that you had last year?
The number should be about the same as last year.
Yes.
Were there any issues that came up last year? And what is the position that you're going to do to resolve them?
Well, there were no issues last year, but we will resolve them as they come in. We have not, in the past couple of years, gotten any complaints from any residents that we're aware of, but we do. I happen to live on Mulberry Street. I've been living here my entire life. So I'm here every single day. I walk up and down. So everyone knows me well. And when there's an issue, they immediately address it with me. But as I said, fewer and fewer each year.
Yeah. In the early years, in my involvement, I would get complaints here and there, particularly from SAPO or the community board, and I would try to jump on them. I mean, the last number of years, I just nothing is really jumping off the page, but our reaction is if there's a problem that we're alerted to, we try to jump on it right away and have a dialogue. I've gone down, and again, I can't remember really the last time I did it, but I remember I went to see someone who had a complaint. I just, knocked on their door because I try to come down a number of times myself and try to be helpful.
And the last final thing I want to say is, please tell Mort that I hope he gets better and that we miss him.
Will do.
He had knee surgery and hip surgery. He told me he lost 85 pounds.
Wow.
And I speak to him frequently, and he sounds good.
Yeah, he only did the 2 surgeries because he got a discount. Trust me.
Right. 2 for 1, right. He's going to miss it. He's already missing it. He loves when I call him.
So I was going back looking through, some of the comments that we got last year. I think one of the sort of complaints was that it seemed like the street cleaning was going on late after 11 p.m. Some people were complaining about that, sometimes till 2 or 3 a.m. What is the cleaning how does the cleaning work each night? Is there a way to ensure that it's not going on well after midnight? Because that was one of the complaints we got last year, was kind of beeping of trucks.
Unfortunately, during the week, we closed down at 11. So everyone over the loudspeaker is advised to put their garbage out. and then the truck comes in about 11:30. And there are 3 trucks that come in, one through Canal, one in the middle, maybe 1/3 in, and then another quarter. So it's not one truck doing the entire feast. So 3 of them come in, and I think in about a half hour, everything is done. I mean, it may go over midnight a little bit, but I don't think too much. As I said, I live here, and I'm very concerned about, the area and noise control, etc. I'm a resident, and I understand, there are kids in school, etc. So I'm really on top of all that.
Okay.
I will make a special note with the carting company to, try to come in soon after 11 and get out by 12.
That would be great. Yeah, because that was just a specific complaint, and it'd be great if we could help, not have stuff going on till that late.
Okay, I've made a note of that.
And if I could add, one of my pet peeves is workers who work late in the community like that, not be yelling, sometimes people are in the middle of telling a story, but they're doing their work. That has to come with the training from their supervisor and their president, that you're not there to tell stories while neighbors are trying to, go to sleep and yelling across streets to tell a story. So that sometimes it's the little things that help.
And then, okay, and is there anything like if someone has a complaint about a cart that's coming in that's still going at 1 a.m. or 2 or something like that, is there someone they can contact?
Absolutely not. That is absolutely not true at 1 or 2 a.m. Absolutely not true.
But if
it happens, you'll have Vivian's cell emails if it's late at night. First thing in the morning, I look at emails. So you have my email, Vivian's, John's. You'll have cell numbers. Some of you already have cell numbers from years past. We're accessible.
Let me say that the 4% of the restaurants that don't participate are up beyond spring. And they are the ones that I'm sure you're getting the complaints from, because they operate sort of a bar outside, even though they do not participate in St. Gennaro. So we will have the attorney check on that. And maybe they should get violations from SAFO. But those few are not the participating restaurants. After they all work 12 hours a day, they are ready to close up and go home and rest until the next morning.
Yeah, last year we did notify the community board about a situation where after the feast ended, the restaurants that were still open were blaring music, and we went to the police to deal with it. But we wanted the community board to know that it wasn't the feast music, it was the restaurant music. And again, we're going to be meeting with the 5th precinct just to make sure that we're on target with that again, to have them go and shut those music off. But it was a problem last year that we dealt with.
But in terms of the sanitation plan, you're picking up all of the garbage, the carters coming in, picking up all the garbage within the festival, even for those that don't participate.
We pick up all the garbage from Canal to Houston Street. We pick up every intersection 50 feet in, right and left. We pick up all residential garbage along Mulberry Street. So the city gets a big break there, a big break. No sanitation workers for 15 days.
Okay.
We pick up all the garbage.
That's what I thought. Okay, that's what I had remembered. So thank you. I think Michael, did you have
Yes, hi, this is Michael Levine. Hi, John, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Oh, good. Question about the sanitation cleanup and the trash cleanup before the carters arrive. We've talked about this before. There's a tendency for certain choke points to occur in some of the cross streets, such as Mulberry and Grand, before the carters arrive. Now, you said that when the carters arrive, you cleanup 50% into the roadway. What happens if trash accumulates before the carters arrive and causes choke points, for example, again, Mulberry and Grand? Do you do anything at that point before the carters are there to make sure those intersections are clear for pedestrians?
I don't exactly understand the question.
Well, a lot of trash.
No, we have,
The carters come in after 11.
No, I'm talking about.
Pick up everything along the way. So there usually is more at the intersection than on the block itself.
That's what I meant, on the
It's all
intersection.
picked up. Nothing is left. By the next morning, it's
yeah,
spotlessly
we have,
clean.
But I'm talking about.
yeah, but Michael, I understand your question.
Right.
We have a clean team that goes out all during the feast. And whenever they see an accumulation of trash, in the feast area within the 50 feet of the feast, they pick it up, they cart it over to our dumpsters, and it all goes in there.
Yeah.
So we make sure that we always try to maintain that from happening, to continue.
That's excellent. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
You got it, Michael.
And another service we provide, during the feast, everyone decides, oh, it's time to throw this refrigerator out. And St. Gennaro is time to throw it out. But this old sofa, I got to get rid of it. And Tuesday night, I'm going to put it out in front of the building. And our carter knows that they must pick up any furniture or appliance along Mulberry Street. That's in their contract.
Okay.
And you have no idea what people wait and hold on to until they can throw it out.
Okay. That's interesting.
Right, John?
Okay. Anyone else from the, does anyone want to say anything? Anyone else? Yes, Carter. We have Carter Booth from CB2.
So I noticed at the feast last year, two things. There are not enough trash cans, and it's a regular occurrence. Is there any way you can get the food vendors to put out their own trash cans and bag the trash? Because what invariably happens, the clean team gets crowded, nobody can move around, and people just dump it on the street in their piles regularly.
Well, they
thought about that
work
last year.
actually out of plastic black bags. We do supply quite a lot of them. I don't think they have actual pails to put out because they, by mandatory law, they must close at 11. So they can't put a pail out because who's going to bring it back in after 11? But they put out their black bags.
Yeah,
And
no,
as
but
Joe said, that the clean team, picks up all during the feast, mostly at the intersections.
yeah, there's no space. If you're asking about having extra pails, there's no space. There are fire lanes, there are paths.
Well, there's no space, but what ends up happening is they just throw the trash on the street. I mean, I have pictures from last year, just throw it, and there's suddenly big piles of stuff, next, and they take up that same space. So my point is that if you have something, like a trash can that you can just throw the stuff in, take the bag out, put a new bag in, everything is much, much neater at the end of the day and even during feast. But it's a problem of not enough places to put the trash that's generated from all the food vendors. And that's more the issue. And it's nothing new. I mean, this is you guys know that, on all the corners, piled up stuff. But it's just something I observed that it looked, would make a big difference to everybody, because then the stuff doesn't blow around, it's not on the ground, etc. So that was one thing. And then the other, there were three different businesses who had illegal bars set up on the street who were selling drinks to go, which was also illegal. Dodge Gennaro, Gray Dog, and Pascal Jones. And I was wondering if you guys are going to address that in advance with the 5th precinct, because people aren't allowed to sell drinks that people can just walk around with. They have to all be consumed in their premises.
Could you slowly repeat the three places?
Sure. It was Dodge Gennaro, had a storefront to the north of their space. That was.
Narrow participate in the feast. You mentioned Pasquale Jones. For the last 3 years, Pasquale Jones has refused to participate.
Vivian, this is a different question. This is,
Okay.
if I'm hearing,
No, I'm talking.
no, no,
Right?
no, they now switched issues. The question is, what the statement was that 3 restaurants, they have noticed, I guess on occasion, or because I haven't heard about this consistently, have been selling drinks and people leave the parameters of the restaurant. So you mentioned
Okay.
so that's an SLA violation.
Yes. I
That
will
if
drink that. What is the third restaurant? Dodge Gennaro, Pasquale Jones. What was the third one?
And Gray Dog, but they had.
Gray Dog.
They had bars set up in the exterior spaces, it's not like somebody walked out of the place. It was sold on the feast space, you know, the people are walking with it. They may not be participating, but for example, Gray Dog, you stand in the lane of the feast and they were selling frozen drinks to go. And Dodge Gennaro was in the interior of their storefronts, had set up a whole bar with a table and an open door. And Pasquale Jones was on the corner under a tent, you know, also side. So
I will address those.
We'll speak. Yeah, we'll speak to the 5th precinct about that, because by the way, the law, the regulations that we have is if you're selling liquor, you could sell the liquor at your booth, but they can't walk around with the liquor. Technically, anybody gets caught walking around with liquor would get a summons from PD. But we'll deal with PD on that and with the SLA to try to make it a little more stringent.
And I'll alert SAPO as well that this is an issue, because they will add their 2 cents to the SLA. You know, they have a strong relationship there. So, and also if this comes to the attention of any community board member during the feast, again, reach out immediately.
You know, the ability that we do have for the restaurants that are participating in the feast, if they're violating the regs, we'll give them the warning, we'll give them a second warning. After that, we'll shut them down. We have that ability to do with the restaurants that are part of the feast. The ones that aren't part of the feast, it's a little more difficult, and that's where SLA and the police come in.
That's interesting. Yeah. So
Well, John, I'll have to check that. Wait. The one thing we haven't been able to quote unquote enforce is necessarily making every restaurant to pay. But the use of the street, that may be something if they're violating rules of the feast. We'll have to talk to SAPO about that. What powers SAPO has to help us close down someone who violates that many times. But mostly they're going to be impacted by the SLA and the police.
Right.
If the police get upset with you, they could send the message that they're not just going to be upset during the feast, and the managers and the business owners will get the message.
yeah. One other question to think about, and Mark has helped raise this for me, is the new containerization laws for restaurants and whether those apply within a street fair like this. That could be something to be aware of and to maybe have a plan for. I don't know the answer. We can ask the SMY.
We need to ask.
Leave them outside against the building, that's safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wouldn't be room for them among other things in this fair.
Yeah. Yeah, it could cause a big issue, so we should investigate that. But just be aware of that, and maybe we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Bill?
Rocio, yep.
Yes, I was just going to make a comment that sanitation rules have changed. I think they will be effective as of September 1. And restaurants cannot put the garbage out in bags, but only in sealed containers with covers.
That's exactly what, that's what I was referring to as well, Rocio. So yeah, thank you.
July 30th.
It's July 30th. Let's read through the rules there. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you for showing up every year. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate the help you give. And we're here to help the community board in any way we can. If there's a problem, let's deal with it immediately, and we will.
All right. I'd really like to do the walkthrough this year also because I missed it. So hopefully I'll be able to make it. I missed it last year, so hopefully I can make it this year.
You got it. We'll look forward to seeing you.
All right. Sounds good.
Take care,
All
everybody.
right.
Okay.
Take care.
So it looks like Daniel is now here. So let's go back to
Vivian,
which will be our last one, and unless someone from technology shows up.
Dan, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm Daniel, by the way. This is my associate, Sam Hamway. How are you?
Hello.
Today, we'll be presenting an event that we're trying to make on Bond Street for Sephardic Heritage Museum, a fundraiser / brand awareness event for our 501c3 organization. And at the event, we're looking to have Sephardic food as well as Sephardic artworks displaying to pay homage to the heritage of the Sephardic community. In addition, the logistics will be that we'll be starting setup at 9 a.m. on the street, and the event will go from 12 p.m. until 6 p.m. And we're planning to be off the street and cleaned up by 8 p.m. We are looking to file for specifically a single block festival. Additionally, that will be open to the public totally, encouraging passerbyers to participate in the event. As a part of the event, we're looking to have different food vendors within the space, about 4 to 6 vendors. These vendors will also contribute 20% of all sales to SAPO in the city. And some of the details that we have on the layout. Do you guys have the map of the event?
What's that?
You guys have the event layout?
No, if you could share it with us or send it, I think.
Yes.
Maybe
Let me share it.
Out, but I didn't see it come through.
Got it. Sharing it right now.
You could also email it to us tomorrow morning. That would be great.
All right, I'll do that as well.
Thank you.
Please
excuse me. Just ask, is the layout same as last time, or is it different? Because I know there was a
different.
It's
slightly different.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure that I get the sidebar. Could you guys see it clearly?
Yep.
Yeah.
So here you'll see the entire street and our event here. And then here you'll see a more zoomed up, focused view of the event. So here you'll see Bond Street between Lafayette and Bowery. And then just continue on.
It's still.
So here you'll see this is where there was concerns last time. Here's the 15-foot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you hold on for a second because you're only
Yeah.
showing part of your screen. If you bring your cursor to the top right-hand corner next to the X is a box. If you click that box, I think you'll get the full screen and then we can see everything because you were highlighting areas that were not on our screen.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, so bring your cursor to the top. Yeah, you just had it there.
Right there?
It's maximize, right?
The square box immediately to the left of the X at the top right-hand corner.
The third box immediately to the left. Is that,
box. Yeah, the
so
maximize.
right now it's on my screen, it's maximized. It says if I could minimize it. That's,
It's not what we're seeing. No, maybe if you
I don't
take
know
it
why
down,
it's
go back up.
yeah, let me try something. Give me 1 second. Thank you for your guys' patience. Let me stop sharing and reshare. Still the same?
Much better.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect. Okay, so basically we're going to have 4 different, so here you'll see the difference from last time's event is we'll have this 15-foot fire lane and fire escape lane where the event will not be placed on the street. Additionally, we'll have 4 security guards throughout the event to manage the flow of people coming in and out through the event. Additionally, not noted here, we'll have cleanup people on site all day, continuously picking up and making sure that all trash is organized and accounted for. And then as it relates to audio, we are going to have a DJ that just has that's just for background music, nothing disturbing or nothing loud enough to hear from even the storefronts, just some low background noise. Additionally, for the food vendors, we're going to have all picnic tables set up for people to sit down and eat. So there's a place for them to enjoy their meal. And that's the rundown.
You go back to the run of shows that you had. I think that would be useful. You had like a Word doc up.
Those are just some of my personal notes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. That was confusing.
So maybe just if you could pull it up one more time. Sorry, I just wanted to look at it a little.
No worries. Let me just get it. I just exited out. Sorry.
Specific questions that they pointed.
Is there any specific questions that you have towards it?
I just wanted to go back over what's happening during the event. Sorry, it seems to have that screen up with the picture of it.
Okay, let me just find it. Sorry, give me 1 second.
The one we just set up.
Yeah, I know. I deleted it. Sorry. I mean, I exited out. Not the map, right?
No, the map.
Oh, the map. Sorry about that. I had a separate doc open as well. I thought you were referencing. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So it looks like it's just cut off on the left. Is that?
So if you go down, you'll see what's on down here is the left. So it ends there, the space.
So what's the width? The whole approximate whole width of that setup?
The width will be approximately 75 to 90 feet.
Okay. And so it's okay. So it's basically food vendors, a tie-dye station. You are going to have a DJ.
Yeah. Yeah. Additionally, we'll have security to keep everything contained. And a cleaner, of course.
What's going on with the bar? Are you serving alcohol? Or
no alcohol.
So it's like a non-alcoholic drink bar?
It's a non-alcoholic drink bar. It'll just have water, canned drinks, soft drinks, bottled drinks.
And then what are the red dots there?
The red is security detail.
Okay.
I could go up to this one's a better view.
Yeah. And then do you know who the food vendors are going to be?
We have not signed them on yet, transparently. So we're hoping to have 4 to 6 vendors. Optimally, local community vendors to kind of support the community and play into the awareness that we want to get from the community.
Then you should have more menu on the pack because we may need to buy it directly, serve it up ourselves. So there's no third party.
So he was just saying that it was a potential case, but very unlikely that if we would serve it ourselves, if we would want to manage the event ourselves, but as of now, the plan is to go forward with having 4 to 6 food vendors.
Okay.
And if anything changes, we will let the board know.
Okay. And then you said there was going to be something with Sephardic artwork. Is there a cultural aspect to this?
Yes, the cultural aspect is so the Sephardic Heritage Museum basically has a museum of Sephardic heritage pieces, art pieces, archives that they will allow us to use throughout the event to display. So this will be displayed, which has to be updated. Instead of the games area, we're replacing where the games area is. This will be games, or this will be the art that will be displayed. Right.
Okay, you said you have 6 security guards. You're still going to be doing invites with RSVP, is that right?
Yes, we want to do RSVP just to get a gauge for how many people there are, so we could be very well prepared for the amount of people that are expected to come. But this will be more of an event for both passerbys and people that we will be inviting. And we were hoping to have around 50 people within the area max at any given point, because that's how much we're going to kind of gauge for on our invite. So we don't invite too many people. So we assume, let's say, for every 50 people that RSVP, there's going to be 15% buffer on top of that of people who are going to walk by and be a part of the event.
Okay. And is there a particular reason why it's on this block? If you remind me, is there a tie to something on this block or?
Yes, not specifically the block, but actually down the block, there's a Jewish synagogue nearby. So it's being in proximity to that, where there are some Sephardic community members that are part of that organization. And there's no specific ties to them. We haven't even spoken to them. It's just being in this area and being close to this community is what we're looking for.
Okay. Let me pass it to some others. Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so Daniel, diagrammatically on that plan, seems to show that your area is going to be lined up with the patio. Is that true? Is there 15 feet outside of the Buco patio for clearance?
Yes.
All right.
Be directly aligned with that.
This side here, here's what they're saying.
Okay.
Looks like more than 15. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, Rocio?
Thank you so much. Couple of questions. Can you please tell me what connection you have to the museum? That's number
Yes.
one. Number two, can you tell me how much space will be dedicated to displaying museum quality items?
Yes.
And I forget the
So-
third one. I'll get back to you on the third one.
No worries. So basically, I am actually Sephardic, is my connection, and I volunteer to work with them on a daily basis. I do it on my free time. Additionally, as it relates to the art, we're looking to have about 200 square feet dedicated to displaying them.
The other question was regarding the title of this is collaborating with Brunch. What is Brunch?
So Brunch is a footwear brand. Basically, they have volunteered to, as part of their team, we're doing nothing in specific with the brand themselves, but part of their team is Sephardic Jews as well. And they have hosted a few other events. So they have volunteered in assisting us in hosting this event.
Are you no longer going to be working with Il Buco?
We are, as of now, not working with El Buco.
You are,
Oh, no, we aren't as of now.
are not.
But they could potentially be one of our vendors, but there's nothing contractual in place.
So how much space is going to be dedicated to the type of museum quality items to be shown?
There'll be 200 square feet.
That's where the games are, right?
Yes, where the games are, exactly. But it's going to be extended. So I would say boxes need to be readjusted for size.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Know who the vendors are gonna be? When are you planning on kind of finalizing?
We plan to finalize within the next 20 days. Right now, we don't have any confirmation on anyone. We're just opening up a list of people that we want to reach out to, but knowing that we've actually kind of finalized anything.
And there's not a physical location for the museum at this point?
There's no physical location. They store their artifacts.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi.
Say that?
Mr. Ma is trying to raise his hand.
Yes. Hello.
Hi,
May I ask you, your museum quality yourself, are you affiliated with any museum? Because your food is Sephardic. Are you that's a Jewish museum or?
You cut out. Right. Is that my guys, or did he cut out for you guys as well?
Yeah, yeah, it froze.
Just asking if he was affiliated with any kind of Jewish museum.
Yeah, he's asking if you're affiliated with any museum, I guess, other than yourself. Do you have any other affiliate?
We aren't affiliated with anyone, and we're not really a museum. It's more just a part of the title. We don't have a physical museum location. Make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
Can we ask again why this location was chosen?
Yes, it was because there's a synagogue around the corner,
Which
and we
synagogue?
wanted.
Which synagogue?
It's the Sullivan Synagogue.
Right.
And we want to be within like the Jewish community area and be tied to inviting people from that synagogue, as there's a lot of Sephardics that go there, and we want to be able to attract that crowd.
But did you say you're not formally affiliated with them?
No, there's no formal connection this event with them, so we haven't really outreach to them. It's more an understanding of where the Jewish community is and the people that we want to be attending the event.
Will they be invited to participate?
Of course.
Thank you.
We'd be honored to have them.
Will the food be kosher Middle Eastern style? What are you planning?
The plan is kosher Middle Eastern style. So, hopefully we could source it from restaurants that cater and have, of course, the kosher certifications in place for the event.
This is a Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday?
Yes,
Sunday.
Okay. Do we know if the open street is that day?
No, it's done by the 26th of August, I checked.
Oh,
So you guys are answering.
okay, sorry, let's see.
Will you ever have an actual brick and mortar museum? Is that the aim, or what is this
Goal is
fundraiser about?
The fundraiser is about reminding different, the next generation of their Sephardic heritage. We feel that a lot of people have been, losing ties or losing touch with where their ancestors kind of came in from. So like, for example, 1910s all the way through the 1970s, there was tons of Sephardic, Jews migrated into the US and had a certain culture, and that culture kind of dissipates as their next generation. So hopefully we could continue reminding them of where they came from and their history and their heritage, as we believe it's very important to know your own history. And then as of now, we don't have any plans to have a physical location, but we've created books to, share with different people that their different history, as well as done classes and hosted and placed our artifacts in other synagogues for a certain period of time for people to see.
So this fundraiser is going to do all those things.
It does all those things at the moment.
So could you repeat that?
Yes, so this fundraiser, basically, what they do is they have these artifacts that they'll display in synagogues and put out for people to remember. The goal is to remind the younger generation of where their ancestors came from, the American Sephardics, of where their ancestors came from, as well as teach them about their history.
So how will the money help do that?
So the money will help us, one, collect these artifacts, create events like this to spread awareness about their Sephardic heritage. Those are key ways, I would say. And as well as do any other events or, build out different activations within a synagogue, make the books and put them together and hire the right people to potentially make these books. Or that's just a few ways.
How much money do you think you're going to raise?
Hopefully billions. No, but seriously, hopefully, within 10 to 20 would be amazing.
10 to 20,000?
Yeah. I mean, high hopes, but that's just conservative.
Okay, thank you.
So that's essentially just taking a slice of whatever's sold, all the, the food that's sold.
Yes.
There's no other, you're not soliciting donations or anything.
Oh, no, sorry. It's not to take a slice. It would be for people to go ahead and make donations on their own.
Okay, so you don't get a portion of the food.
No, unrelated. The food vendors will be managing their own setup. Sorry, I misspoke.
How long you have been doing this?
I have only volunteered recently, but the Sephardic Heritage Museum has been around for 5 years now, I think. But I'm just a volunteer that started within the last 2 years.
I just want to, I have very, very limited knowledge in this area, but I do know one thing. Once I heard in this meeting, says Sephardic Jews, Sephardic culture, almost vanished in Spain, but alive in America. So I compliment you are trying to survive and make it survive well. But I'm wondering, you are very young, you are only 5 years. Are you collaborate with any other agency longer than 20 years, 30 years?
We have not collaborated with any other agency, and thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you also tell us how much money the food vendors will pay to be able to participate in this event?
So they won't be paying. It's just basically they have to manage their own setup. So anything we will help them manage the setup, but any payments regards to setting up, let's say their tables, the people that they have on the event site to manage the food, they will have to cover those costs. So it's in ask for basically having them there because we feel like it's a good component of it that they, manage everything instead of any payment being exchanged.
So I had a few things. One, I think the synagogue you're mentioning is about a half a mile away. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no real nexus and they don't even know about this and nobody's talked to them about it?
We haven't spoken to them about it, no.
Okay, and then I'm sort of having trouble understanding your relationship to this event because I'm looking at the paperwork. I see that there's Joshua Sit.
Joshua Sit is actually also my brother and a volunteer for Sephardic Heritage Museum as well. Okay. And I'm Daniel Sit.
And then and then for the diagram that you have up there, what's the width of the gray area, meaning matching the street?
Yes, as I mentioned before, it's going to be between 750 and 900 feet.
No. So you have the 15-foot fire lane.
Sorry, 75 and 90 feet. My mistake.
75 and 90 feet, but I'm saying not the length of it down the street, but the width to the cross part of the street.
Oh, sorry about that. That's going to be about 30 feet. We have to do exact calculations, but based off estimations, it's about 30 feet.
Because the street's, I think, about 40 feet wide.
So then we'd have to recalculate and look for about 25 feet. So that's why I was slightly off. Sorry about that.
I'm just looking at the layout and the food booths, you know, generally people have a tent or something. And those tents are what, 9 feet?
So we definitely won't have tents. The plan is to have one long table across and have the food heated and cooked in advance.
So the food's just gonna be brought and uncovered, you know? or what?
Exactly.
And then as far as is the west side on the diagram, people gonna be able to walk through there, or what's that?
So the plan is to not there. We want to block it off actually, basically because we don't want to have like we want to have security by the other side, and then a security here. We want to have to be able to control the flow of people entering into the event.
And have you contacted any of the buildings, the residential buildings?
We have not.
So they don't. Nobody knows about having a few hundred people out in front of them.
The goal is to have 50 people in the event at a time. We don't plan on inviting that many people to have a few hundred out.
I was just, okay, because I was just going by what the paperwork said, which has 200 to 500 people coming.
So it would be 50 people in at a time, but we don't expect people to be lingering for more than 45 minutes. So that's why we wrote 200 to 500, because over the course of the event, if you do the math, that'll be about 500 people over the course of the event.
And then when you're last here, you presented doing similar events on Mother's Day, I think it was. And as I was just confused because at that time you said that you weren't soliciting donations in order to come to the event. And no connection to come that you weren't having to pay. But it was
no, you don't.
Open
you don't have.
Yeah. And it was just free. And so I'm just confused as to how the event is a fundraiser, which I think Rocio had touched on a little bit, but I'm just confused how you're going to raise that much money. You know, I guess I'm just not understanding that relationship.
Yeah, so we won't be taking any more people to join the event. This is a free event 100%. And we will be kind of guiding people to our website and to our emails just to potentially donate money. Transparently, goal of 10 to 20K is something I came up with on the spot as Rocio asked me. But really we'll take what we could get, and we're more just going to be directing people to the site. But the main goal is brand awareness, as I mentioned earlier. But additionally, that we will be sending people to our site for fundraising purposes as well.
And then the last event was supposed to be on Mother's Day, but 5 days before that, brunch had illegal events that wasn't permitted by SAPO out in front on the 11th. And you had a pizza truck, a food truck outside, and you had, 40, 50 people standing around outside, and it went on until, probably 1 a.m. And, how can we expect, if you're doing stuff like that you're going to manage this event properly?
Transparently, we won't be. I wasn't part of that event, nor was I at that event, or have heard about it. So I'm sorry that occurred.
But brunch is your co-sponsor here.
Yes, that we have team members from them that will be helping us in the event, given they have planned events in the past. But again, I didn't know about that event, and we'll make sure that this does not turn. They will not be running or managing this event. They will just be assisting in the event.
But just to be clear, the applicant on this is the owner of brunch, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So. Is that anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you last presented, I remember you were associated with El Buco patio. And this time you're saying that you don't even know whether they're going to be involved or not. But I see that now you moved the event to in front of 41, which is a residential building. Will you have music? Will there be loudspeakers outside?
So there will be no loudspeakers, and we will have lighting. as background noise as a part of the event, but nothing like the music not being the main component of the event at all. Totally just background noise,
Noise.
like background low noise, where you could like, basically when I say background, I mean really low, but it won't be a big part of the event.
It's not music.
So like small, basically like portable speakers or like small like Bose Sonos style speakers, not like loud and like big stereo speakers.
Will there be any branding for brunch at the event? Like I don't still understand their role. I'm sorry.
So for brunch's assistants, it will allow us to basically will allow them to put a few posters up, brunch in like, let's say, as a part of them helping the event, and sponsoring and helping us plan this.
And and what type of business are they?
They're a footwear brand.
Okay. And are you,
But the
you
team,
work for brunch?
say it again.
Do you work for brunch?
I do not.
Okay.
Yes, may I ask you, your financial support, since you are trying to strengthen, enrich the culture, Sephardic Jewish culture, how do you survive other than this kind of charity? Are you regularly every year? Are you promoting any other business, charity, or activities to survive? To get money? What do you do? How do you survive? Business wise to promoting this Sephardic culture.
So how do I personally survive, or how does Sephardic survive in America?
I mean, do you affiliate any other, like your agency? I don't think you are the only one promoting Sephardic culture. Is there any other you are related, affiliated, agency promoting Sephardic cultural activities and legacy?
Not that we work with. So we personally run it and fundraise ourselves. Thankfully, there is, a few wealthy people that help us, support and push the brand awareness that have, Sephardic people that want to tell the story of
Sounds
our
like
ancestry.
Sounds like you are saying you are the only one promoting the Sephardic Jewish culture legacy.
Oh, no. You're saying no, I'm a volunteer for the Sephardic Heritage Museum. So there's a team of people that help on the other activities like the
What's
artifact.
the name? What's the big backbone of this agency? What's the name? I think that's why we are confusing, because your age, you're young. How could
No,
you
it's not. I'm just a volunteer. It's not my organization.
No. What I'm saying, there must be some more stronger reach, many years, 20 years, 30 years survive before you engaging this. What kind of agency is that?
Let's move on, I think.
Just one last question. Daniel, is this museum 501c3?
Yes.
You have papers?
Yes.
So you're registered?
Yes. Sephardic Heritage Museum is a 501c3. Registered 501c3.
And then can you talk about the red carpet? I think there was a red carpet in the last design. Is there going to be a red carpet here?
We don't have a red carpet now.
Okay. And then, just on LinkedIn, it has you as being a co-founder of Brunch.
Yes.
So what, you founded them, but you don't work for them anymore? Is that what you're saying?
I founded them, and then my brother started working on it, and then I stopped working on it a few years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Any other
yeah.
questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great rest of your night.
You too.
Bye.
Okay. We're going to go into business session. So Let's start MLK Scholars.
I'm sorry, Will, we still have a quorum in person, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It grew.
Someone leave?
No, I think it got bigger.
No.
Same as before.
Nope, yep, we have a very good forum. Okay, anyone want to talk about MLK? I'm fine with that one.
I don't see any problem.
Yeah. It seems like it's for a good program. Pretty minimal impact. Anyone? Rocio gone now? Okay, let's vote on that one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any or abstain? Okay. All right, nothing NYC. To me, it's a standard, the commercial event with no ties to community. Anyone feel differently? I don't, if we're gonna stick in line with how we've been voting before, this is sort of just an advertisement yet again. Anyone else feel differently on that? I would propose that we vote to deny with our
I agree.
continued language about not supporting pure advertising events.
Because there's no tie to the community.
Yes.
How much are those permits though? Do we know how much DOT or the city gets from those companies that do advertising?
I think it's a small amount. I don't know if you know the exact number. You know?
Is it for a street closure?
For a plaza.
Okay.
No, this
is included in the sidewalk.
Sorry, this one's not a plaza.
For like curb lane, like
It's pretty minimal fee. I can look it up. I think it's a couple $100, right?
It might be as many as 2,500, but I don't still not. It's
For a, what was this one?
the sidewalk curb lane.
I think for a curb lane, it's pretty small. We can find it.
I think just because I don't know how much revenue the city would make from that, I'll abstain.
Oh, I see, because of your, okay.
No, not
Abstain or
because of that.
recuse? No?
No, not excuse of abstaining, just because, there could be potential revenue to the city. Might be understanding that people don't feel like it's a draw for like the community itself. It could be additional revenue.
$3,100. Looks like. For a small event, which is probably is, I guess.
It should stay on the
3,100.
But isn't there income to the city from all of these applications?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's every single,
Then we can't vote no for all of them.
every single event.
No, I'm abstaining because I actually think that it's beneficial to have additional revenue, something like this. I understand folks feel differently, yeah.
And also, I like to differentiate use of the plaza
Well, this one's not a plaza. But the other one.
or closing a street. Those I think that we do want to stand a little bit more firmly about with their connection to the local community. We're just parking a truck or a small vehicle at the curb where parking is allowed anyway. Correct. And let's. No, it didn't sound like there was going to be much obstruction of pedestrian and other traffic on the street.
Let me pull back up.
So.
Yeah.
I'm officially gonna recuse on this one because I know the CEO and head of marketing and I'm still friendly with them. So
Okay.
I don't feel, but I will say they've done events like this 7 years in a row, 8 years in a row. Like they're not new to this. They know how to manage these things. It's a phone launch. They've done a million. So I'll just, for informational purposes, they have the background.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, so what do you think?
I think I would have to vote for it.
Okay.
Given that
Do they have
minimal
any
obstruction,
connection to the community?
I don't think so.
whatever their relationship to common ground is. They picked the location because it was,
Common ground.
Yeah.
So potentially be inside.
oh yeah, there's some of the activities or the.
Yeah,
Is
you know what?
inside of common ground. They don't have to get a permit to do that.
Okay.
So they have a relationship with common ground.
Okay, well, if people feel like, I mean, this is, I was thinking for a second, this was one of the plaza events, but I'm looking back at the map now and it's not, so. I mean, if people are more comfortable with commercial events with no connection, as long as it's less invasive. I think for me, I would still vote against this one, but we don't have to be unanimous on every.
Is this an instance where it's gonna go forward anyway, because it's 3 days away?
It's,
I will tell you, I think I was texting with a guy there, I think it's gonna happen.
yeah.
We should still vote how we vote, but
And we should vote and make a point if we want to make a point, but our experience in practice has been anything that is done with or without the explicit support of the Gansevoort bid, but if the bid is involved, or the meatpacking bid, excuse me, they always seem to get approved, so. What we've been sort of doing for these plaza events is trying to comment on them about how we don't want pure commercial events and we don't want this much use of the plaza space. Because that's sort of our way of making a comment, trying to get through to people, but in practice right now, they just seem to approve all of them.
Right, and the use of the plaza prohibits the general public from using it.
Yeah, and plazas aren't really meant to be used for just advertising. Now, like in the summer, every other.
Go there to eat their lunch, and
The bid makes quite a bit of money,
the bid makes
even though they're not connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Michael Rocio, how do you feel on this one?
Not sure. It would violate our policy though.
Oh, we don't have an explicit policy. I mean, that's one thing that's one thing we can also start talking about in new business if we want, is whether we want to codify more policies, but we don't have an explicit policy, but we've been making that as a consistent point in our resolution. Is that as a rule, we don't like to see it, but we haven't written out like, here's a policy that we follow. And we talked about that in the past, and sometimes there was some debate as to whether we should have that because we wanted to retain flexibility. But there's also probably a benefit to having a codified policy as well.
So what would the benefit be of having this, of supporting this activity?
Just that it's going to support a local business, and it's only taking a preferred lane, I guess, would be the benefit. I think for me, it's still just pure commercial. Like, I would like to see some other tie to the community in order to do that, but it's probably not nearly as impactful as a plaza closure. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about nothing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just think about if all the store owners decide that they wanted to have a street fair, close the street, close the area in front of their place. So we're opening up a Pandora's box. So anyone can apply and be approved. Is this what we want to see?
Well, that's one reason we haven't had the explicit policy, but yeah, I mean, we do, my understanding, having talked to the previous SAPO director, was that we already have by far the most number of street events of any community board. And so at some point, I think we're already past the point of like a lot of saturation. So my view is typically we should just be supporting things, some kind of tied to the committee, but people can have a different view.
Well, we don't have. Sorry, just to answer the question from before about the revenue.
Yeah.
So for you were absolutely right. For a curb lane or sidewalk only event, it's $290 a day with a cap of 1,000 for 3 days.
It was only 200 or 300.
Only when you're closing the whole street do you start with.
That's what I thought. Yep.
we want to just vote on this one. I'm going to recuse. We want to vote on this one and then we can talk about policy.
Yeah, I just didn't know if people were still making up their minds. Michael, you ready to vote or?
Yeah, I'll vote.
Okay, so I'm gonna vote against this.
Me too.
Against. You're for or against, Rocio?
I'm against.
Michael?
Against.
Yeah, against. I'll abstain.
Reduce.
Okay. So I will record that, the resolution will be against, we'll highlight our continued, not wanting to see pure commercial events, and just write down, forget. All right. All right, we can start talking about the Burberry one. People want to. I'm just recording the vote. For the next one, yeah.
Did Edma vote?
Oh, yeah.
Abstain.
Okay. So what is that? Is it past 1, 2?
Yeah.
3, 4, yeah, 5 out of 8. Or I guess out of 7. You're abstaining. Or if you're recused. Okay. Okay. What do people think about this one? This is a small cart. I think I'm generally okay with this one because it's in front of the store that is right there, in the community. It's pretty low impact.
It's bottles of lemonade. People aren't gonna stand there.
Yeah, people aren't gonna congregate on the street. If it's really a small 1 gallon generator, I don't think it's gonna be too loud.
the one, the Burberry one or the Super Group?
This is Burberry. So this is right in front of the Burberry store.
Yeah.
It's not on Broadway, it's on Spring.
Okay.
No, it's not the one on Broadway. It's right in front of the store. They already have staff on site and guards there. It's very low impact.
They keep their outside of their stores.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And I don't think noise is gonna be that much of a problem with the small generator. Anyone disagree with that? Okay, so all in favor of approving that one, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Okay. Okay, Super Goop.
Well, that's the problem of being parked on Broadway, where they're trying to avoid food trucks on Broadway. And
No.
it's not a food truck, but it's the visual.
Yeah, and similar to the nothing, there's no, they are sold in stores in CB. But they don't have their own locations.
I'm gonna recuse again, Will. My company, we compete with them technically.
So the Sephora store is what they're linking with.
But isn't the Sephora store not near there?
It's not right there. I guess it might be a block away.
I think is it on that one?
So they're gonna be on the east side. I think Sephora is on the west side.
Within visual, you said within visual.
Yeah, I think it was within eyesight.
Yeah, it's on, Sephora's on Broadway between Spring and Prince. But this is, so it's one block away.
Oh, Spring and Prince would be full block, another block down, another intersection. South.
What about Pete's point about how we never quote unquote support any food?
And then
food trucks on Broadway?
That's what
they always are. They've always been against.
They always object to
on Broadway.
We have not had such a.
No, but we've typically not done it. We've typically denied those. I mean, it's low impact enough, I think, and the product is sold here in stores. That I would maybe be okay just if we had them ask them to move to Houston or something.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was
said they're
a
open to
smaller
that.
truck.
Yeah.
Than a big food.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
no, the miniature one was for Burberry.
Oh, it was?
Super Hoop was bigger.
It's a 30-foot truck.
Yeah, it's a bigger. So,
Big truck.
yeah, if we could suggest moving the truck to another location, then that would resolve it for the Broadway resident.
Yeah. It's a little tough to say how much of a connection is, but if it really is sold in Sephora and some of those stores, there is some connection. So maybe we can, I don't know, what do people think? Should we just deny? Should we ask to move?
They seem pretty willing to be accommodating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have a little time and not a whole lot, but we could find another place. That would be ideal.
It's August 5th, right? Yeah. I think I'm okay with that. I don't know if anyone feels we should just deny, but I'm okay with just seeing if they can move to a less impactful area. So
Can they
like,
move in front of Sephora?
well, that's still gonna be on Broadway, so. If
Can they get rid of the truck?
Yeah. I would say that we suggest that they move to, there's a couple one of the blocks of like Houston. That is not the super busy corner with the subway, but just right up, maybe the one right there between,
Just west of Broadway.
yeah, that one's not so busy.
Have we approved like other non-food truck, like item giveaways on Broadway?
Generally not, because it's such a busy, it's like, there's always crowding in front of the stores and stuff there. All right, people okay with sort of an approve with conditional move?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Okay. Okay, so the Airy one, this one's interesting. So it is Gansworth Plaza, but they have gone to some effort to include local vendors, which we always do ask of people.
The stores in CB2.
They have a store in CB2. So it's still commercial, but it's not pure billboard. So how do people feel?
Yeah, it's a free event. They're giving it away and they're not, I think that they're controlling what they're obstructing on the plaza. There's still circulation around the
Yeah.
edges. And
I go for it.
Everything we've come with.
I think if we're operating under the assumption as we have been that these events or commercial events are going to continue happening, this is sort of what we've been asking people to do.
Right. The vendors are all local to their small businesses.
Yeah.
And this, I said it's control, not just sprawling or whole plaza.
And I would maybe have a line in there that in general, repeat the line in general, we're opposed to commercial events, but if they're going to occur, this is sort of, they've gone to what we've asked people to do. Okay, sounds like we're in agreement. Anyone disagree on this one? Okay, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, recused, abstain? Okay. Technology launch was a no-show. So I'm gonna say it's a unanimous deny by our policy. Does anyone disagree? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I ask a question, please, of staff? If they do not respond, does staff ever call them, or do we only count on a response to an email?
Email multiple times.
Email multiple times, and I think we did call. So there is a phone call follow-up.
In this instance, yes. Maybe it should be a policy, but we had a snafu a couple of months ago, so we're being a little extra careful in terms of multiple lines of follow-up.
I would recommend if it's possible to do it.
I think it's a good idea too.
Yeah. All right, let's just do San Gennaro and then we can finish with, well, that was the order. I mean, let's just I say we just continue, I mean, we always approve it, it's always gonna happen. I say we just we incorporate Carter's comments.
Yeah. And can we incorporate John Fratta's response that they will keep the cross streets clear before the trash is collected?
Yeah.
It's still a choke point at.
About keeping what specifically clear?
I always find there at 9 o'clock at night, trash is way into Grand Street before the cars come. And John said that they try to keep 50% of the cross street clear. I think we need to reiterate that in our resolution.
Okay. If you have some language on that, maybe just send it to me. And let's just check on this question about standardization requirements for restaurants.
Yeah, I looked at the regulation and it doesn't address street fairs or street activity one way or another. So I will reach out in the morning to our liaison at DSMI and try to get an answer for you, but
I imagine they'll work something out with. Well, but I don't know. What you were saying, it would cause an issue with the safety.
I mean, look, everything's down to the inch.
Yeah.
For the safety lanes.
Yeah,
There
safety
is
lanes.
no space. And the trash though is just dumps in the middle. People just drop stuff.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is a safety hazard. It would be better if it's just bagged.
Yeah.
And everybody had a movable trash can in front. It would go a long way, I think, helping the issues, but it's gotten a little bit better, I think, incrementally in decades for trash management, but it's still a big problem, just what Michael was pointing out. It just seems like it could, with a little bit of group effort, be dramatically improved. And the problem is it's everything's happening at once, and everybody's making money, it's crowded, and the vendors aren't the ones doing it. I don't know how they're during the peak day. But trash containerization is sidewalk safety, because they all have the space behind the booths between the buildings, and the sidewalks are not that wide. And usually the booths all have stuff if they're big ones stacked up there. I don't know how that's going to play out. And then, as Mark and I discussed previously, these are all the small restaurants that don't have space for storage of those bins on the interior. So it really opens a lot of questions.
they don't have to be the yard things, though. They can be smaller. They can stack.
I do think it's interesting, now this confusion on this particular event that places can choose not to participate. And I think that makes a very big enforcement challenge.
Yeah.
Because I think that the piece is very willing to oversee what they oversee, but it gets very confused because people participating not.
We talked about that a lot last year, if you remember, and I don't really know what the solution is, because they can't force someone to pay something. But yeah, it is an issue. I think we just need to, when we see those issues, we just need to report them to SLA, 311, whoever else.
Well, the fifth precinct can enforce all of it.
Yeah.
And that's why the piece has to just discuss it before, so everybody's on.
Yeah. Yep.
But the places that don't participate in the piece, the only activity that they're allowed to do is have tables and chairs and stuff. Yeah. They're not able to do other activities, but many of them do, and that's where they're really participating in the piece that they do.
Okay. So I'm gonna have a reso that just talks about all these issues and how these are our main concerns. We review them every year, so it's obviously still approve the event. But
well, I think also we need to acknowledge the fact that they have been cooperating.
Yeah,
it's going to do a better job, but we need to acknowledge it.
Yeah, they said they increased the committee. It's working on. It. They are definitely improving.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of approval on this one? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, accused. So, okay. Last one, SHM. I mean, they did address some of our concerns last time and it's technically a public event now, but I still don't really understand why they're doing this, what they're hoping to achieve. They are clearly associated with brunch, which is a business, even though it's billed as a fundraiser. Seemed like certain things are not fleshed out yet.
They're making reference to the synagogue, and we questioned.
Yeah, there's nowhere.
We haven't spoken to them, they're not participating.
And they haven't talked to any.
They're not a Sephardic synagogue, they're an Ashkenazi synagogue. I mean, the more he spoke, the more confused I got. I mean, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, but I know what kosher Sephardic. But you need some sort of a support for it, and I didn't get it. I got very confused with this explanation.
Yeah.
I like to see Lucille, how she feel about this. He's hiding a lot of information, but he is doing good things.
Yes.
How Lucy, we're going to say this comments, please.
Yeah, I'm not
Lucia.
very happy with this one.
Yes, yes.
At the end, he said he was a 501c3, not he, but the museum. It's a 501c3. But I think the more he spoke, the more he stuck his foot in it.
Right.
I think. So I wasn't happy with it at all. The answers weren't forthcoming. And I think this event is to raise money for whomever, excuse me, my grammar.
Very, very secretive, very secretive.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is a 501c3. I was looking at it on Charity Navigator. So they are registered as they have a 990 on file. So that is certainly true.
Does he really represent them?
Well, I think
So
His father's. the head of it.
yeah, he's associated with it.
I remember looking it up last time. It's his father is the one who seems to have set up, donated a lot of the money. And their offices are literally in his father's offices, so I would believe he's associated.
Also, I must say that it's, at least in the synopsis here, it says full street closure, which is not. It's no more than what Kabuko has, or a little bit more than what Kabuko has. Just like a street shed. It's the same width as El Buco, he said.
I mean, I don't personally have a huge, forget about the history of his past application. If this event came from someone else and they were a cultural event and museum and it wasn't the 25-year-old who was presenting, I don't think we'd have a really big problem with it. We'd talk about the street closure, we talk about the noise. I don't know if they need a DJ booth, if it's gonna be background noise, but everything else, I think they don't have details yet. I would almost suggest they come back in a month. Because it's not till September. They don't need the approval now.
That's true.
That's almost what.
I think if it were an event, yeah, again, without the history, like if they came and they actually partnered with 4 or 5 local restaurants and it was for half a day, we'd probably be okay with it normally, right? But I think we need to have a full clarity on the relationship with brunch and like what's going on there. So I'm still not clear. I think we need actual engagement with the block. And I think we need, we want to see actual local businesses. So.
And can we say?
To lay it over.
And can we say ties to the Sephardic community?
Yes. Comment.
There's still a Sephardic community and they can reach out.
Could do that. We want to do that.
Please, yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Are we going to get a different answer? Maybe we will.
I mean, last time we got an answer. Or they did what they wanted anyway.
Yes.
So I don't really trust that. every time he said something, it felt like he was lying to us. Like when he talked about brunch not being a part of it.
Yeah.
There's 3 restaurants that participate in the open street that are on this. And the roadbed's 37 feet wide. So, but it's 15 feet for the fire lane, which leaves 22.5 feet. I think if you look at that diagram, that's it's room. Yeah, that's not real. You know,
None
so
of
it's-
it was to scale.
yeah, and I don't think you could fit in all those activities in that space. And that's it's sort of all surrounded by residential, talk to anybody. It's also a parking garage on the block. And so there's all these just variable issues that tentatively seem to work on an everyday basis for the open street. But you put this in on top of everything,
Yeah.
and it seems to be a significant impact. And they're just not, you know, as I pointed out, truthful about it. It's just the twisting of every fact, and I think that makes it difficult to have this event because what are you gonna get? Do it.
Would ask for dimension drawings.
Well,
Yeah.
why would anybody want him to associate himself with the restaurants on the block? I mean, I would love to cross West 4th Street and have a big party for everyone, right? And I'll be making a lot of money that day. So doesn't make sense to me.
But I think we do approve stuff like that all the time where blocks close for a block party for whatever. So that to me is not.
This is closer to a block party.
There's usually a reason for the. No, I agree, but Hirosia's abstract example, I don't think that's.
We do some, yeah, we have in the past approved stuff that's, yeah, just for a certain cause on a block, but usually there's more of a tie.
No, I totally agree. There's no, I don't see any ties to this block, to this area, anything.
Yeah. So I think the 2 options are we, you know, unless people disagree, it seems the 2 options are to deny or to try to give them one more chance to answer all these questions and come back with a more, you know, more detailed plan, more clarification on the brunch relationship, more clarification on Sephardic cultural stuff that will be at the event, or we just deny, or maybe someone feels that we should approve it. But I think right now most people are leaning towards one of those 2.
I want to let him come back just because I think he's young. I don't think he's ever done this before. Give him a chance to answer some questions. And then if it's a month, then we deny again, we deny. And then if they do it, there's nothing we can do about that. But all the precincts, we call whoever, SEPA. But at least, I don't think in August, there's going to be a problem if we hear it again. We just limit them.
Are you saying that the option for asking them to come back with all this additional information, is that holdover or layover or is
Yeah,
it a
layover,
deny
I
with
think
no-
layover. I mean, also deny, technically, they could come back with a different.
Even with the deny, like we did last time,
They can still come back.
do the party,
Yeah, or they could come back before us again.
which they did last time. Denied as a second party. Well,
Yes.
it was the same guy, right? It was whatever we do.
And that's what you told them last time, the same thing.
Yeah.
We need to have a resolution asking them to come back with more.
I would deny.
I would deny too.
I think I would vote to let them have one more chance to clarify. That's just me, but.
I would go along with that, but one more chance.
Maybe I'm too trusting of the one.
With a projected demand.
Yeah, with a
Right,
perspective, we can solve that.
We could say deny, we could say craft it as deny.
Unless not residents to.
And then we
We
could say,
could- we could do
here's
it
all the issues. Here, you could say deny and then say, here's all the issues, if they so chose to came back, here's all the issues that would need to be addressed.
What is the date of the event?
September 10th.
So we would still have time to consider it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
Wouldn't go through full board.
Right.
Yeah.
It would,
Would one of the issues you bring up be the last time when we denied and they still had the party?
yeah, I think they should address it because he's obviously associated with brunch.
Yeah.
So we can phrase it as a deny. I'm happy to do that. And we just say, if you so choose to come back, here's what we need to have addressed. Here's what you would need to.
Did you allow anybody to put an application to come back?
Yeah,
So what's the point?
Just the language of the resolution.
I mean, these guys broke the law already. We didn't contact anybody on the law. We don't answer questions truthfully. There's no nexus to local. They didn't even brought up somebody they haven't even talked to. I mean, what are we doing?
Well, so it's a deny at this point.
I mean, this is.
it's a deny with explanation.
Yeah, well, we always put explanation in our denial.
All right. Ready?
Yeah,
It's fine.
Can we vote?
someone disagree with it?
Like full deny and I'll make them come back.
Well, anyone can come back after the
Okay.
deny. That's always the rule.
I would force him to do some work.
Yeah,
Like, that's like, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
if you
what
want to punish him, like, yeah, that's, yeah.
yeah. So, yeah.
This
But
is not
do we
about
have a
punishing
meeting?
anyone. This is about having a good application with good answers and have an event that's going to benefit the community or their organization that's a 501c3 that has some nexus to the community. And doesn't seem that they have any of that.
Yeah. Okay,
August the meeting, do we have an August meeting?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're gonna phrase it as deny and they always have an option to come back to us. That's how it always works, right? Right? So let's do it that way.
Are you putting in like in the language the specifics of what we want to come back?
We always put in the concerns that we have, so we can include what all the main concerns were.
Yeah.
That's what we do for any application. So we can do that.
Well, I think this time he came a little bit more prepared because he knew what questions we asked in the past. And therefore, he did his homework. So he's going to sharpen his pencil again, even.
But he did his
Even
homework,
better.
not truthful.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor of the denial, say aye.
No,
Aye.
Abstain, recuse, okay. Then, we have some FYI renewals. I think it's all pretty standard stuff. Don't have any questions on those?
I actually do.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few of them that are on Broadway. And I know that we didn't tell them to appear because they're renewals. But I am not in favor of any of the ones, 826, 827, that's on 6th Avenue between West 4th Street and 23rd Street. How could we close 6th Avenue? That's horrible. The other one is 827 4th Avenue Fair. We're closing again a major thoroughfare. And the last one is 92, the Broadway Village Fair, closing Broadway between Waverly and East 14th Street.
Okay,
So
I mean,
those bother me.
I know we've talked about not wanting stuff on Broadway in the past, but I think if we move it, sometimes it moves on to, would have to move on to a smaller, more residential street. I think there's gonna be some certain amount of fairs on Broadway, but I understand. Anyone else have an issue? No. All right,
well, I had the same issue. I've seen those fairs on Broadway or the main avenues, and it's a mess. You can't. It's hard to get around. It's hard to get-
yeah,
The city, Sixth Avenue one is horrible.
Yeah.
it doesn't,
Broadway.
I mean, it doesn't feel like, I think it doesn't feel fair to me to start denying them right now. We've been approving them for several years unless we want to make it a new policy going forward and have anything on Broadway start to show up and present to us. But
It hasn't done any good to
yeah,
put in an objection to things on Broadway. However, I think that we want to do what we can to influence those choices for the next time around by making a very strong statement. Ask them to find something that is not so obstructive. Busy thoroughly.
so what would you want to do? You would want to add a language to it, to the resolution
Yeah, I would add
for anything that's on Broadway?
Broadway and 6th Avenue.
the main avenues.
Sixth Avenue.
Yeah, But again, I think if we start moving it off that, it's gonna move to smaller residential streets, and then people aren't gonna be happy with that either.
Well, but at least it's not the main thoroughfare that's being impacted. And all the traffic will go to the small streets.
True. I know one of the things that I had heard that, before I joined this committee was people had moved things to Broadway at some time in the past because they wanted it off the smaller side. So you could go either way. Susan, did you want to add some?
I was just gonna say that in the interest of fairness, because this is just an FYI and they really haven't had a chance to respond.
I agree.
That you should, this
That's what I'm
shouldn't be
saying.
where you shouldn't be changing midstream, but giving them notice that going forward, they should expect pushback on this location. And that if you start now, you will have an opportunity to make a thoughtful decision about where to properly stage this.
We've had a pretty standard FYI renewal policy for a long time for stuff that's been in the same place for years with no complaints. So if we're going to change our FYI renewal policy, I think that's a much larger discussion. That's my view.
I also want to point out that on 827, there's a street fair for something that's not in CB2. Sixth Avenue
I saw that.
Oh, I don't know how that got in there.
Well,
Let's
it's
remove
actually
that.
on the south side of 14th, our district.
No, it
No?
wouldn't. No, but it wouldn't be on the south side.
Right.
Okay, let's take that out. Is that a typo? Because it says it's NoHo
I know.
and it's 6th Avenue. That doesn't make any sense. Hold on, let me pull it up. Let's check with, I have the application, if that's what it says.
Okay.
Let's check with SAPO if that's a typo.
Okay. Copy of the agenda. Right on.
So I'm gonna put forth that we approve these now, people can vote. And I think if we want to start to rediscuss our policy for FYI renewals, we can do that in new business. Are people okay with that?
Yeah.
Rocio, do you still want to vote against stuff or no?
I actually do, because I have voted against these consistently for many years. Even when we knew that they were approved, I still was against closing the main thoroughfare.
Tell me which ones you're voting against, please. If you can.
All of the ones, I'll tell you, it's 826 Broadway Festival.
Yeah.
That's Broadway between Waverly and East 14th Street.
I got it.
827 NoHo Community Expo.
Yeah, we're
Sixth
taking that
Avenue.
one off because it's not in our district unless it's
Which one?
NoHo, because it says 14th and between 14th and 23rd. So we're taking that one off anyway.
Okay. 4th Avenue Fair.
Yeah.
And the last one is Broadway Village Fair.
Okay. Everybody else, okay? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And we got Rocio. Rocio, are you okay with all the other ones?
Yes.
Okay. Oppose, abstain? Okay. So I know it's getting late. I think for new business, we have a copy of this thing.
You're muted.
There we go.
Probably
Okay.
This is if we were to do something like this, I think it would be more detailed. This is sort of includes some basic stipulations that they put for street events. So we could pass a policy, something like this, if we wanted to. And this sort of ties into what I was just saying. We have had certain sort of policies that have just been kind of custom to the committee for a long time. The FYI renewals, et cetera, as long as there's no complaints and it's not moving or whatever. So would people, if we wanted to put something in place like this, I think it might make sense
this would be literally what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
See the
exactly.
sets, but we would put in our own
Well-
Broadway, things like that.
Yeah, and we could have something for, we could have something that addresses per FY renewals, we could have something that addresses plazas, we could have something that addresses commercial use in general. We could have all of that. The question is sort of how in detail do we want to go? I think there's benefit in having something probably. And then the last thing we could address is for sort of, if we have automatic policies for stuff that comes in too late. Like the, the one we're talking about that's in 3 days.
Yeah. And if I could jump in.
Yeah, please.
Because some of this came out of a borough service cabinet, where the district managers speak, and SAPO came and presented there. And a lot of the discussion was, even with a 30-day notice period, that's often not enough time to get through a committee and then full board and have a reasoned opinion, especially if there are, unlike what you've done tonight, where there are 2 minds and it's a close vote and so forth. And some of them are only 15-day turnarounds. So, CB3 volunteered that they do this so that the staff, with the instruction of the chair and the chair of the committee, can issue a recommendation of denial without having that process. So that's, that's kind of the origin of this. If I could add one more editorial comment, which is that some of these are inconsistent with Pride, because that came up during Pride Month, where Officer Adelier from the 9th precinct was saying, in effect, only 4 hours and it has to end by 8 o'clock for a sound permit, is inconsistent with a lot of the Pride events. And so I had to swallow hard and say, violate the policy, because I don't want to be the guy who stopped Pride. Anyway, so when you're considering what you might want to do, and I think that you're right to want to think about this and bring it back, you might want to think about all of the contexts in which this will come up.
Yeah, I think we should always allow ourselves option we should have guideline, if I were doing it, maybe some kind of guidelines that we send out so people are aware of generally what we're looking for.
But would this need board approval?
Yes, I think so. Yes, we need a resolution for approval.
I think Susan would agree. We would need a
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
He's asking if our guidelines would need board approval, and I said, yes.
Yes, guidelines would be board approval, but what you've got then, it doesn't mean necessarily that something that comes in with too short too short a turnaround time would, then you could issue an unauthorized approval, but it would allow us to identify these are issues of concern based on our policies, and that would not have to go through the whole process of committee and then board review.
So I think we should always leave ourselves the option to sort of make the exception.
So would you recommend,
like Pride, which
would you recommend we tackle this in August? How would you recommend we go forward?
Yeah, I would recommend people start thinking about it, because I don't think everyone's ready to have a discussion on it tonight. Of now. So I think we should think about it, and if we all agree kind of in principle, this is something we want to start doing, to me, it makes a lot of sense. So maybe we all think about it over the next month.
We do it in September?
What's that?
In September.
Well, we're meeting in August also.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
But many people may be away.
And this is not something, just to point out, that you're going to be able to handle in one pass. This, because these are principles and because this is a guideline, it's something you really want to work. I mean, just the way you work on any set of rules, it's something over time.
It's going to stand as a, firm, obviously everything can be amended, but sort of a quasi-permanent, this is what we're going to do going forward. We really need to be thinking about it.
Does Community Board 7 have something like this? Because they have like 1,000,001 street fairs.
The answer is no. But their street fairs are all on major avenues, on Sundays, and they've been there forever.
Yeah.
So the nature of streets up there is almost like it's a different universe than here.
What, see, what community board was it that we had a matrix from?
That
Was that
was
one?
Was it one? No. 4 maybe. I have it saved.
Yeah, I've got it saved somewhere too, but that's,
Was that
we
4?
worked on that as a committee for a while.
We can look at it after. We should. When it
I
adjourns.
think to Mark's point, we should have a category of events of citywide interest that allow their handled differently. And then for Pride, it would be helpful if they brought all the events as one, as opposed to airing one every month for 5 months. So that there's a better picture for everybody of them, and not to not be in support, but to just have it pieced together. There's San Gennaro's and other events, obviously big into maybe it's multi-block street fairs that are handled a little differently, or just as different guidelines, because I think that allows the exceptions markers to move into things that so that not to violate things, acknowledging even accept private related events, accept the piece. I think they want to that are that big.
And yeah, so, and I think this also, like, if we put a lot of work into it at the start and make it pretty robust, it might free up our time a little bit to work on some of the environmental and other stuff that I know I want to spend time working on. So that's a consideration too. Because we have meetings like this, we can't really look at stuff like that when it's a 3-hour plus meeting, which a lot of ours are. And I know it's seasonal, but still. Okay. Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor? All right.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Anybody that's in a community paper and hasn't seen it yet, you're welcome to have a copy.
Good night, everyone.
Also,
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
out at the front desk.
Good night, Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Yes, sir.